Should probably unmute myself before I start talking. How's it going, everybody? Let me just make sure all the right stuff's muted. Cool, yeah. All right, so you guys been knowing how it's been going. The streams have been super absent. Same with videos and stuff. I've been just drawing in the background, just enjoying life, you know, doing that some of that stuff. But I thought, what the hell? Let's do a little stream of some drawing today. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of this new stuff that I've been doing and all that. Catch up with you guys. I know I'll have to say things over and over again as people creep in. That's cool. And if you have any comments or questions, by all means, leave them in the comments below. Next time I do a stream, which by the way, I'm trying to get back to the Wednesdays once a week. It might be a Thursday. It's not like I'm super busy. I just want to make sure that if I'm going to do it, it'll pretty much be as constant as possible. So anyway, leave those comments below, and then I will address them next time we stream. Which again, I'm hoping anyway, tentatively, it'll be Wednesday or Thursday there. How's it going, Aaron? Ben, great now. How you guys doing? Hey, thanks. Kuzo, how you doing? Why? Why did you go live at the same time as Jim? Oh, really? Oh, no. I think that actually happened the last time we were streaming, too. How funny is that? Okay, so, let's get into some drawing. This is pretty casual, like I said in the little title of the video here. So, lately, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk to you guys about this with. So, I've been playing around with style, in directions to go, and just chasing that ever elusive why. You know, why are we drawing? What am I doing? And I think a lot of us, we don't even ask that question. For better or for worse, I'm stuck in the why. I'm finally on the tail end, getting through it, just sort of like, because it's fun. I feel like it's healthy, it's therapeutic, it's all the, you know, the nonsense stuff. But I feel like I sort of hit, I don't, maybe not a rut. I don't think rut is the right word for it. But sort of like just sort of getting stale with, I don't know if it's the process or if it's necessarily just the result. I'm not sure. But the stuff that you guys have sort of seen me do from, you know, for a while now, especially with JESOP King, you know, not really doing shadow work anymore, just doing line art, all that fun stuff, which I do enjoy, don't get me wrong. But I just started looking around, and one day I was at work looking at the cute kind of stuff we do, and I fell in love with it, more so than usual. And that's where I started doing some of the chibi characters and stuff. If you guys are following me on Instagram or anywhere else, I actually do think did we do a Spider-Man one on YouTube here? I think we did. So I was following that for a bit, and that was fun. You know, it's very fun. But the main thing that I'm missing out of this stuff is, and this is ultimately what's bringing me back to comics in some small fashion, is I need to tell some stories. This stuff is super important to me, and I've just come to slowly realize that the longer that I've been out of them. So looking around, I'm like, I don't want to do the JESOP stuff anymore. For now, anyway, I think that's sort of past. I'm not really excited to work on it. And hey, Lawrence, how's it going? So just back and forth looking at stuff, and then I decided to go back to looking at Jack Kirby, especially Jack Kirby as of late. I remember looking at his stuff very early and hating it, and then maybe about 12 years now, I started getting into there's like some Marvel comic books that were being reprinted with Kirby work, and I was looking at that, and I still didn't like it until I started looking at, it wasn't even Fantastic Four, I think it was just Thor, actually. Thor or Silver Surfer, one of the two. And there's just something about it. Oh, it was the Eternals. Definitely the Eternals. I'm looking at it right now over on the side. And then I started appreciating all of his old stuff. Anyway, fast forward to now, I'm just looking to have him a little bit more fun. And the reason I'm going into this, in my opinion, I'm like, in my mind, I'm trying to think Kirby and sort of the old school style stuff, is when I look at it, I actually feel something. And that's something that's been missing out of what I was even doing with JESOP stuff. Like, it was fun, but I was missing, like, something. And I do think that's something, I don't know how many of you guys in here experience this or not. How's it going, everybody? I'll catch up. If you guys have any questions, too, just feel free to jam them in the chat. I'll eventually catch up to you guys, okay? But I just wanted to imbue some of the stuff that I feel like I get when I look at Kirby's work, in particular for myself. You know, like, I'm a huge fan of Joe Madden stuff, but with Kirby, there's something there that, I don't know, I just want to explore a little bit more, so I'm just having a little bit of fun. I don't want to turn it into something more than it's not. So I'm just going to click through some of the stuff here for those of you that don't, you know, follow me on other places, which is totally cool, and sort of experimenting. And I do want to say, actually, here, let me open something here. What would be the earliest one we did? Actually, I think this dude would have been. So Corey Lewis is another artist that I'm a massive fan of, and what I find is a lot of this stuff here is sort of going back and forth between. I see a lot of Kirby in Lewis's work as well, but this in particular is where I started going. Okay, with the cute stuff that I was doing, I could kind of come back and keep this simple. You know, start adding some simple stuff and all that cool thing. And I have a story for this as well. The one thing I was noticing was as I was jamming out like some of this newer style. Is that the ideas were coming a lot quicker, but they were different kind of ideas. They're not ideas like I would normally get where I want this big elaborate plot or anything. They were just fun. And yeah, so I just kept writing it out. And then from here, this is very similar, but this is when I started getting into the Kirby stuff. So looking at like Celestials and just the way he does tech and all cool stuff. I'm not sure where my screen cuts off. I think it's around here. So the story I was trying to put in here is like, and this is something I would like to tell like a short story with, which is like you know, old school fantasy style, with like these modern looking. Well, I don't know if that's modern looking, but like some sort of god, and these guys are like offering like, you know, fruits and stuff like that to sort of appease this god kind of thing. And to me, it felt like something I wanted to explore, which is cool. And the more of that I can get, the better. This here, again, going back more with just playing with the Kirby shapes, I suppose. This one I actually really enjoy. I was playing a little bit with the blurs on the colors and stuff. If I turn this down, you can kind of see where it just gets like that. And then there's like this anime trick you can kind of put over to make everything like an overlay, and it just adds like this glow to it. And I thought it was fun. I thought it felt pretty cool and fresh for me anyway. And it, you know, I was excited to keep going with this one. And again, these ones, they all start doing like these short stories in my head, which is great because that'll get us to tell the story stuff, which is what I'm sorely missing. Anyway, so we got one there. And then this is what we're going to be doing today is a little bit more of a figure work of this character here. Trying to figure him out a little bit more. And again, I don't want to say I figured out, but anybody that's learned anatomy or perspective or anything like that, I'm sure there was a moment where all of a sudden something clicked where you weren't noticing it before, and all of a sudden it made sense to you. And the Kirby crackle, or the Kirby dots, whatever you like to call them, it worked on me. What I used to do, and actually, it wasn't in this one. Wait, maybe I jumped one. Actually, okay, yeah. Here, let me show you this one. This one I sent a buddy of mine. Oh, no, this isn't the right one either. Sorry, I skipped one, this Macer guy. So here, I did what I think a lot of people do, and I'm not going to knock anybody that's doing this or whatever, but I just grabbed a Kirby crackle brush, or Kirby dot brush, whatever you want to call it, and I just started putting it around. What I was finding was that I wasn't able to get these cool organic shapes that I found Kirby was doing with this stuff. Like, it's not just slapping in like dots because they look cool. There's got to be a reason for it, and it has to do with negative space, right? So whether it's white or black, it's the area here. Like if you look here, let me just show you. For those that don't know the language I'm speaking just yet, so you see like the back of his hair is black, and we got all this red. If the color was off, let me just turn this on this way. See, the white is your negative space, then we're going back to black here, okay? So we get these nice gaps, and the reason why that's important is because you see like all around, you might call it a silhouette, but the shape of the character, when you stack, like here's a good example here, his lat, okay? It's black, and then the bicep is white. If I was shading over top of this, right, let me just get a little brush here, right, like the more I start putting in black, the smaller this bicep's getting, and it's ruining the shape. That's the importance of negative shapes, right? It also does stuff like this. This should probably be a little thicker, but you see how it's all white in there? It makes it visually interesting, you know, because if this isn't here, then it's and this one currently is, it's getting lost in the noise. But anyway, so I was trying to figure it out, and if anybody's ever actually looked at Kirby's work, you'll see that he does some really beautiful Kirby dots, right? That's what you want to call them. So what I found out was that in his pencils, what he was doing is he'll do something like this. At least this is my interpretation of what he was doing. So we'll say, let me just get like a small brush here. I didn't know we were going to be doing all this stuff today, but so from his eyes, instead of grabbing the Kirby dot brush, right, and just like mashing here, and it'll just put all the dots in there, what you do is you sort of like give it a path, like what do you want to do? So I wanted to have like the light kind of go like this, like it's like energy, right? Like it's flowing out of his eyes like this. You can see down here, I was doing it with like fire and stuff like that. I wanted like a little halo, like a little energy halo. So, you know, you just do a shape like this, right? And what this does is immediately now, in your pencils you could do this, or like a small little layer. When I lower the opacity, and we start going in here to make Kirby dots, that's like my guide now. I can use that to build off of it. And what this immediately allowed me to do was organic looking shapes, customizable shapes. Now I can manipulate where you're looking a lot better. So this was the first pass at it, but what I felt was like, see all the black areas here? Like there's just a lot. and it helps sell the idea of the energy coming from the eyes, but I just want a little bit more. So you can see what I did is all in here. I just added more to get the focus back to his head. Added like a second ring around there, just so that it wasn't so dark all the time. Okay, so we're here, and then I started messing around. There's a really cool YouTube video. If anybody wants, just let me know. I'll post it in the chat. You can't do this in Clip Studio that I know of, but in Photoshop you can add like these printer dots, like halftone dots. And now it started to go, okay, you know what? I'm starting to dig where this is going. It also, there's a way you can get it so your black isn't solid black and it looks better. It looks like it's got a paper texture, okay? And then from there, basically, this is where we're at. And I'm not 100% sold yet if this is the direction totally. But you can kind of see, right, like the colors, like I pulled all the shadows out. Now it's just flats. I don't mind it. It looks almost like 50s in a way, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to go this way or incorporate some shadow. So I think by adding the shadow, it gives it a little bit more of a modern flair. This right here looks maybe a little bit too close, like I'm riffing off of an older style. I feel like with this on there, it still feels like me, the stuff that I enjoy, but it still has the feels of where the inspiration is coming from. That makes sense. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing today is playing around a little bit more with this guy. You can see the difference here. Talk a little bit about these color swatches I found too, for those that are interested in this kind of stuff. And right here you can see he was like bald, had like some spikes, and this has to do a little bit with the story that was playing in my head. But here you can see it's a little bit more, you know, even this little pattern on him, I went with yellow, but it used to be green here. So we're going to fiddle around. We're just going to have some fun. Right now, this is all experimental stuff. I'm just enjoying doing this. So, you know, hope you guys stick around, have some fun time with this too. Actually, you know what? I've got two monitors going here. Let's move this up here off screen, just so I have a reference. And one of the things, he actually looks a little bit like Captain Marvel a little bit with her colors. I mean, red, blue, and yellow are pretty standard when it comes to superheroes. Let's just close this. Yeah, and then I'll catch up with you guys. I'm not sure if there was any questions or comments and all that good stuff. Let's close it. Is this the right one? Yep, okay, cool. Found it. Okay. It's good to see you all too, by the way. Appreciate you guys all popping in here. I don't stream, and we're getting like 20 cats in here already. That's awesome. So thank you guys. Thank you. I really appreciate the company. And I'm just going right back from the start here. Ben, thank you. I do appreciate your support there, my man. Tyler, how's it going? Yeah, this should be saved. If it's not, I apologize. I am recording it on my hard drive as well, so I'll upload it if it doesn't. Euro John, my dude, how's it going? Finally streaming again. I hope so. I hope to get back into the mix of it here. Anthony, my brother, how's it going? Pillowhead, how you doing? Luke, how you doing? Greg, hello. Luke's asking, how do you get not solid black? Okay, I can quickly show you that, so you don't have to wait till we get to the coloring or whatever the hell I'm going to color, so you can see it. Can you post the link to the YouTube? Okay, and yes, this is 11 by 17. Okay, let me grab that video real quick, and then I will show you how to do the black thing there. It's actually super simple. Okay, history. And another thing too, guys, the reason why I haven't been streaming as much is I'm trying this crazy concept out of just... And I'm actually, now that I've committed sort of to doing this short story with this character here, let me just close that, is trying not to share anything I'm doing with people until it's done. I haven't done that since the internet stopped existing, way back in the day when I'd show a friend. That video that I posted to you guys, well, it's a video by Lumage, I believe it's called. It's called Coloring Book. For those that aren't in the chat that are watching the recorded one, it's called Comic Book Coloring Tips and Tricks, Episode 10, Old School Style. It's got a picture of Thor. It looks like there's like some dots on him and stuff. Check that out if you wanted to add like that little bit of stuff to your thing. But anyway, I haven't been streaming because I wanted to try just keeping things to myself. And now that I've committed to sort of like this short story, I'm just going to only be sharing it with patrons. It's not a plug for that, but that is where I'll share it. I feel like it's at least, you know, the better of the alternative of just always posting it and giving your brain that shot of it's complete, and then you don't get that motivation to finish it, as opposed to saving it. And I probably should not share everything with Patreon, but saving everything together, then once it's done, then sharing it, get the hype with all that going on there. Okay, so let me open up. See, they're all Photoshop files. I haven't really messed around with this in Clip Studio. Should still work though. Let's grab, where's my, yeah, okay. We will start with this one. Let's open it up and I'll show you. It's super simple. So what you're going to want to do is find your line art layer. Okay, so I'm just going to grab it and I think just drag it above. Again, I apologize. You're going to see, yeah, you're going to get some weirdness because the files are all kind of whatever. All you're doing is you're literally just go Control U and you'll bring up your hue saturation. Just up the brightness. A little hard to see on this monitor, but hopefully you can see. Like, this is an extreme example. You see how it looks very gray, right? And that's literally how you just get it so the blacks aren't solid black. And what's really nice about this is it gives it that feel of old school, where the print it's only as thin as the paper. You know, one of the things with cardstock and digital is black can be solid black, right? So you'd have this, but to get that texture, you have to have like some sort of paper texture going on, right? So I have a whole bunch of different textures downloaded. Again, if you watch that video, he'll show you the exact same thing that I'm doing here. Let's just grab this one. Select all, copy, and I'm just going to paste it here. Close this up. Okay. I'm just trying to do this real hacky here. Alright, so we go here, and let me just lower this underneath here. What you'll see, just off that alone, do you see in the black, it looks like it's a little bit more textured. Alright, so if we grab this, I think we set it to, might be multiply. Multiply is a little, I don't think it's multiply. Screen? Maybe it's overlay. It's one of these three. Can never remember. Anyway, let's just do multiply for now, just so you can kind of see it. And this is just giving you that example. Again, I don't want to spend all the time doing it, but do you see now? That's where your texture is coming in. It's coming in because you actually have something to work with. If you don't have that, you'll just get like this look where it's like a solid flat color because it's just digital, right? It's just the way that it's looking. But even like this alone, just on the screen, like it has that old, you know, like the pages start turning yellow. And that's why I'm saying I'm not sure if I want to go this far with it because this is starting to get into like the 50s and stuff. I don't want to go that far. I think there's just certain things in there that I'm hoping to give, like even with like the sort of how I can understand how Kirby's doing rendering and stuff, which I've been falling absolutely in love with, by the way. It's friggin' really fun. Okay, so let's start drawing something, eh? All right. Well, I want to have a little bit of action in this one. We haven't really done anything too crazy. It's mostly just been, you know, the safe pictures. Now. I promise you guys I'll start drawing. But I haven't used the software like OBS in a long while, so I'm hoping you guys can see how far down does the screen go. Here. If you guys need me to like zoom and stuff, you just let me know. I'll try to clean it up for you. No problem, Greg. Ben, try linear burn. I think that works good for textures. Sure. By all means, you guys, you can click around, do whatever you like to try to get the thing that you like as well. Any questions you have are covered totally in that Lumage video. Okay, so let's do something fun with this guy. One of the things I've been trying to do as well is, so I've been, and you're going to hear me say Kirby like a bajillion times to the point where you hate it. I'm just trying to find some shapes here. This one I already feel like it's not going to work. It's just not what the character be doing. But is trying to get my brain to be okay with things I wouldn't normally have accepted from study. And I'll explain what I mean with that in a second. But a lot of the stuff when I was doing like the chibi style, and even when I do it at my day job, when you have to draw like cute little cartoony kind of things, some of the rules just do not apply. Any of the study I've ever done from Bridgman or Loomis or comic book cats in general, right? Like there's certain things anatomy will teach you that there's not much you can do. It's sort of like built into your brain. Like when you start ahead, a lot of us, once you start going into the circle realm, you kind of start understanding how faces work from here. And it's hard to go, okay, take that, but then draw like, I don't know, like something just totally unrelated to like a human face. It might have some similarities, right? But it's hard to go, okay, well, where's the circle in this? So the eyes of that monster line up like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to get the breakdown there. And some of the stuff I'm loving with Kirby that I noticed is like, and I've been reading a bunch of articles, and I actually made a little post online about this, asking people what they thought about, does anatomy matter? Or what's more important, the anatomy or a story? Like if that anatomy helps tell a better story, how far can you break it before it becomes, just, it's too ugly looking, or it's not, appealing? And the reason I ask that is, you look at a lot of Kirby stuff and it's very questionable, but it's powerful. Like he'll add lines so that your eye moves along like the body and the energies in there, but things don't connect right. I've been noticing he'll do something like his elbow. He had this one where it was like, let me draw like this, okay? So if you got a thigh coming into a knee, we'd probably draw a knee something like this, right? And then maybe your calf muscles come down like this into a foot or something, right? And then you get all your muscles up top. But the knee is essentially looking like this, right? I was looking at some of the stuff he was doing, and his knees, this guy's so good. They'll go like this, and then he puts like a block, and then they'll come down into like some shape that he'll want for the leg. And then he adds like this like really weird, like that's a very weird knee, right? Like that doesn't make sense. Imagine an arm where it's coming above you and you got like your elbow up here, and the triceps coming there, and you're reaching behind you, kind of like a Hulk smash over his head kind of thing, right? And he would do the same kind of thing. He'd have like this arm coming up with like, and then he'd put like this little block, and you keep going, and it's the most ridiculous looking stuff, but boy is it powerful. And that's where I started going, okay, if I'm going to commit to just trying to understand a little bit more of this visual language this cat's doing, right? Got to be all right with breaking some of this anatomy up. I can't just get stuck in there. Like, what's the point of it? What's the idea? What is the story? And again, it keeps going back to that. Okay, so what could we have this guy doing? Maybe we can get like a little close-up of his face. I haven't really done too much of that. I didn't want to put some Kirby dots in there today. Got a little hankering for him. A little hankering. Maybe we can have, just really in your face. Put like a big fist here. His head's got to be bigger. He's just breaking into like your personal space here. Maybe we can do something with the arm back there. Get the fist over here or something. Maybe get some flames. Maybe something like that. Just trying to experiment a little bit more. Have some fun, right? If we're not having fun, what's the point? Yeah, you know what? I don't want to overthink this stuff. Just trying to find the personality of this guy. I've been doing some stuff here. Let me bring over this drawing. Ideas. Where are you? I'll bring this here. So you can see, like, this is kind of what I was talking about. Like, I'm forcefully putting that stupid block knee in there. But what I've been doing here, actually, here, you guys might get a kick out of this. Okay, so let's look at the pencils. Let's turn all that off, right? So I've been trying to use a little bit of pencil as well. Today I'm trying something different. I'm trying to use the old method of how I would draw to see if I could get some Kirby in there, like the rendering, and I'll show you why. But here would be the pencils, and right away, I just want to show you, and I purposely did this. I used to draw like this all the time, where I would just use like muscle. The criticism I got by a wonderful teacher that taught me a lot of the mistakes I was doing, for better or for worse, is that there's no bone structure in here. And without bones, there's nothing for things to rest on. And bones give you a lot of power, right? Like in here, if I had, like the idea of an elbow, it immediately grounds it. Like it just gives it power just by looking at that, which is great. But in a lot of the Kirby stuff I've been looking at, like his arms, they don't necessarily have to make sense. That is a shoulder. That is a bicep. And just keep going. And I'm trying to again, like I keep saying, trying to play a little bit more with that. So we lower it up, and here, let me just bring that up, and just tighten up the, what we're looking at. And you can see that arm, like look at it. It's just, it's not correct. There's a lot that I would like to fix in here. Even this arm over here, there's a lot that's messed up, but I'm purposely leaving it this way. So when I went to ink it, let me just bring all this down. Jesus, John, look at all these layers, dude. Let me try to find my line art. Alright, so this would be the traditional style then, and I'm going to be going back to this today. But what would happen is I would add the line on there like we normally would. But when it came time to inking, what I'm noticing is that there's a lot of dead zones. Meaning, there's a lot of heavy black in this stuff, and it looks good. I enjoy it. But then all in like the hand, it's so thin that I'm not sure. And what I did try doing before all this was actually just grabbing like an inking brush and inking it normally. But it just felt so Wild Westy, like I had no control. And it's funny because as I'm saying this, even with what I'm saying with you guys, it's like the idea is breaking how I sort of do this stuff and coming up with new rules. So it's fun. It's like a constant back and forth in my head. Luke is asking, does he fly? I don't know yet. I want to say eventually yes. Because flight is cool. And who doesn't like characters who fly? Gregory, if you use cylinders and boxes to build a figure, like using Tracy Mover's figures, Kirby's anatomy comes together. Oh, I believe it. I'm not one of those people that thinks Kirby doesn't know how to draw. I think he knew how to draw very well. But what I'm trying to get at, I know I'm not being clear with it, so I do appreciate the trying to fix what I'm saying. But the thing that I love about what he's doing is that it ultimately comes down to what is expressive, And you can look at some of his older stuff, and it starts to get kind of wacky, and I love it. All the weird geometry shapes, the psychedelic look and stuff. He's telling a story in those images, and that's what I really like. So I'm trying to train my brain to going, okay, so just because the arm is here and the bicep would go like this, what helps? What's the point of what I'm drawing? What am I trying to get you to look at? You know what I mean? And that's the stuff that's really important, at least to me, what I'm trying to get across and understand a little bit more with what we're doing. Or with what I'm doing, I should say. Who's got a smirk? I also picked up another font. I'm going to try that today, too. So we'll put some words here. I don't know. Maybe we'll toss it up here. He'll be saying something. Blah, 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 blah. I do find, and I have shared this with you guys over the years too. Those of you that have been around, you might remember this. For those of you like me that would rather draw than write, but you like comics, so that means you kind of have to write in some fashion. But you don't want to get stuck to sitting down at the drawing table or the writing table or typewriter, whatever the hell you want to use. I encourage you to start adding speech balloons to your sketches. Like you could write anything in here like, it'll take more to kill me, whatever you want. Just get stupid. Like in the last one I did, he was talking about the god eyes and how astonishing they are. And that was just to play with the Kirby dots that I was putting around his eyes, because that was the whole test of that. Like, how can I get that to look? And then that sparked ideas, and that's really the whole reason why I suggest doing it, because if it's sparking ideas, then great. You don't got to worry about like writing and figuring out how do I get ideas, because as you're doing your thing, naturally I find it's easier as an artist to get ideas from what I'm drawing. So, if as I draw this, I might go, maybe we'll put some rocks down here. Where is he? Is he in a burning building, or is he saving? You know what I mean? Like those ideas start coming together, and it's nice to have a little speech balloon or something there, or a note you write on the side for context for when you come back to it. I think, anyway. No, never thought you meant that. Oh, you're okay. Sorry, Greg. We're stepping on each other's toes here, trying to explain to each other. Okay, so he'll say something there. I'll tell you this right now. I'm noticing something. I used to do this sort of line, Jesus, back in the day, right? And it's definitely looking at the Kirby stuff. Is this? But when I see this, I know that when we get to the line art stuff, right? What I would normally do is, or what I plan on doing, anyways, going with our line art and just getting all this. But what I lose, and this is the part that I'm wondering about, is you see how I'm thickening up these lines over here, right? it would most likely look better if I was just, you know, inking it, right? Because then we can come in here and get these cool looking shapes like that. You know what? We're gonna try to be a man today. We're not gonna pussy around this. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try playing around with the old brushes again. See if we can get back in it. All right, let's zoom in a little bit more. All right, now this fist. Maybe what we can do. You done your nap, Jojo? I feel like if we open his hands, this is how he starts looking a little bit like a villain. Like he's, you know, we don't want that story told. We just stick with the fist. Although I think his eyes are making him look a little bit more. It might be the eyes that are telling the story of him being more of a bad dude than he is. Not bad guy. Let's just put a little note in there. So whatever he's going to say in there, we can make it so that he's saying something positive. You know, it goes as cheesy and classical as possible. Could be, you know, like, you're going to prison today kind of talk. I don't want to write that. It's a little too old school. Alright. So it's really... So his fist... You know what? I want this thing... It feels too weak. Look at that. That's already better. It's already way better. Let's make a duplicate here so I can see that off screen here. I like that a little better. This looks a little bit more proactive. The other one's looking like he's, you know, squaring off. Get some arms coming this way. Really get that shoulder up there. Yeah, I like that. Alright, so this fist, maybe this one we can kind of get a little... Still in front of his face. So what have you guys been up to? Since I haven't seen you guys in so long. What have you guys been working on? Some of you guys enjoying summer still? I don't know if it's the same in the US or wherever you guys are from, but in Canada, I think school starts in 2.5 weeks. Alright, we're going to put those big blocky knees in there too. I'll be cutting off a lot of these feet here. Get the fire. Do you like I'm going that way? Let me just bring it back. Yeah, I kind of like that. Looks really messed up, but summer's too hot. I hear you, man. Cannon, my man, how you doing, buddy? Dude, your posts lately have just been, man, very good. Very good stuff. The art is, you know what? It's, I know you've been working on, like, adding the, I don't want to say, maybe it's not rendering, but the shadow and the light and all that stuff over the last few years, but it's weird, because, like, I see your stuff, and don't take this the wrong way. It, as much as it changes, it stays the same in a good way, where I can see it, and I can tell you're totally getting way more polished but it's still you. Like your voice is still coming out through it, which is great. You know, it's starting to remind me at least when I see your stuff. What's the other guy's name? I always forget his name. Such a cool guy too. I feel like an asshole now that I can't remember his name. If it comes back to me, I'll bring it back up. But you guys, you ink maybe I want to say similar, not the same. You guys definitely have a different style, but it's like a very like a beautiful brushwork look. It's good stuff, man. Keeping the inspiration high. Okay, so we'll have this here. Don't think we're gonna add anything over there. We're gonna try to keep this, you know, keep with the flavor of the broken anatomy. We're definitely gonna get the Kirby stuff going in here in the eyes. Let's see if we can. Again, this is very much like a pinup. I like having the eyes kind of come out. And again, remember, we're trying to figure out negative space here, right? So I don't want to necessarily cut off his arm here. So maybe we can just bring the eyes going this way. Get the dots going there. This energy over there is going to work fine because all here is going to be, you know, black. Maybe we can. We'll figure it out once we get in there. Once we start seeing this stuff come together. Same thing with the fire, right? Because we can, in order to get the fire to work, we could have just a line, or we can just start putting some crackles, some snap, crackle, pops. All right, let's get some costume elements in here. Thanks, dude. So what are you working on now, too, by the way? I haven't caught up with you in a very long time. It seems like you're still rocking out the comics. Alright, there's actually something I wanted to change in this guy. I'll go back to doing Phoenix. The old throwbacks, eh? Actually, now that you bring it up, it's with the fire and stuff. I could kind of. It's got the vibe. That's funny. Can never escape our stuff that we were doing back in the late 90s, man. Goes 1, 2, then a bigger circle. So I actually wanted to connect these. I feel like they'll read better as a better design. Those are all connected. 1, 2, 3. I think that's. Oh, yeah, no, we need his. 1, 2. It's funny. The more I look at this guy, he's very much villain-esque. So I feel like maybe we need to just. I know whatever text we put there is going to be super important, but we just keep playing with this stuff. Oh, see any stuff? Right on. But to start an actual manga book too. Oh, damn. Like the sound of that. Alright. Let's try to ink. Let's start with the hair first. Build up that confidence, I guess. I feel very much like I want to just break out the old stuff that we were doing to. How's this looking? See, the problem I always had with inking is my lines get way too thick. At least to me, I feel like they get too thick. This guy, I'm doing a short story with him. That's why I've been testing around a little bit more with like the old retro, you know, Kirby stuff I keep bringing up. Just monkeying around with that. See, this is okay, ladies and gentlemen. This is the problem I run into. Okay, just do the real talk with you. So when I ink with this stuff, as you can tell, I don't have a guide for lighting just yet. Uh, I get lost, right? Because like right here, I might want to add one of these little things that they used to do back in the day over the eye. But how does it look overall? Whereas when I just break out the line art, like the micron pens, I can do it in like washes. Like here's the lines, here's the inking. But the tricky part is when we get into like what I was saying was over here. Like if we're gonna go with like this old school kind of feel of the face, like it looks better just by slapping the inks in there. Whereas if we do the line art, it's like I gotta go back over. You know what? I'm gonna bitch out. Who's this line? That would be too thin. He reminds you. Who's All Might? Who is that? Oh God, am I riffing on something that I don't know? All Might. Okay, let's do a little Google search. What do you guys do to me? I always hate when I don't know something and people are saying they look like it, and then I go to search them, and then it starts like influencing the designs. All Might. Let's take a look. Oh, from that hero. What is it? Yeah. Okay, I could. Great. So he's got the circles. Yeah, I guess I could see it. I think he's different enough, obviously. Like clearly he's not a total rip, but I can 100% see where you're coming from. It was My Hero Academia. That's it. I think AK when he was in the chat, he used to bring it up. I remember watching a clip of that show. Looks really good. This is my. Would you finish Jessup in this style? How's it going, Benjamin? So, good friend of the channel, Will Robson. I've been showing him a lot of this stuff lately too, and he asked the same question. Right now, I'll say my answer is no, only because it's a different style. I think Jessup is fine the way it is. Um, it's packaged in a nice way where I can go back to it if and when I want to. Spending I'm taking time off of that for a lot of reasons, uh, but I don't hate it or anything like that. I just don't think necessarily your style should always be something you're. I do think certain projects look better in certain styles for sure, right? Uh, I guess an example could be I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but My Little Pony. and then imagine it if like Frank Miller drew it, which is black and white inks. I'm not saying, well, it definitely would be a different show, right? But how many does he have here? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Actually, let's get all of this into a layer. Alright, let's do some simple, chunky, massive hands. Because those are the best kind of hands. Now we get to have fun with this wacky anatomy. Just literally toss two giant balls on top of each other. Have you looked at Will Eisner for inspiration or just Kirby? I'm not a big Eisner fan. I like his storytelling, but I don't like. Maybe that's not the right way. I guess it's the context of this stuff. What I love about Kirby, and I was saying this earlier in the stream, is that, and I don't know, I'm a believer just because it's clearly happening that art speaks to you at different times. You could have a favorite artist and always love what they do, but the reason why you enjoy their stuff maybe dwindles over time. So, an example I can give is I've made it very clear since anybody's ever asked me about artistic inspirations and stuff that Joe Madureira is still one of the greatest people I always look at for inspiration and stuff. But in saying that, I look at his stuff and it doesn't get me excited to draw like it used to. That's no slight against him or anything. I just think right now my taste has changed. You know, I've been drawing cute little chibi characters for a while, right? All those kinds of things. But I still like looking at that art. It just doesn't actually like when I was growing up. It felt like I had a feeling for it. And I do believe that's because at that time he was Battle Chasers is what I knew him from. But at that time it was hitting on other things besides just really cool art. It was Final Fantasy mixed with superheroes, and the style was like, this is before a lot of Japanese art was really available. At least where I was, and it was insane. It was absolutely insane, and I love it. I'll never look back. I only have fond memories of it. But in saying that, and I'm not alone. There's loads of Joe Mad people out there that like to draw like Joe Mad or influenced by his hands and stuff, right? Myself included. But as of late, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh, that's a lie. Okay, so what it was is at work, I use a lot of Pinterest. And I don't know if you guys use a lot of Pinterest. If you don't, I friggin' highly recommend it because the amount of content on there that artists are sharing it's insane, and it's a great tool. But I was going through there, and I forget how I came across more Kirby work, but with the work I was seeing was I think it's called the Lord of Light, and I believe it was for an amusement park or something that was going to get made. I don't know if it was supposed to rival Disneyland or something, but it was like science fiction land, something like that, based off of like the Chariot of the Gods. I don't know if you guys have ever read that book. Recommend it, and some other stuff. And all the artwork was like very psychedelic, right? It's big. It's Kirby. It's giant things that look like Galactus and Celestials with humans, but the coloring was all like neon. And when I looked at it, I couldn't stop clicking and wanting to see more and looking at more and looking at more. But when I got it, I felt good. Like I felt something. And growing up, like I'm not a guy that goes to arts, not art studios, art. What are they? See, I don't even know what the name of them. Draw a blank. It's like like an art display. Jesus, I need some help here. What are they called? Like an art show, right? I've never really gone to any of those. But sometimes people will get a connection or feeling, and I'm assuming some of you guys have felt this way. But something it touches you on, whether you're spiritual or whatever you want to fill in the blank with that word. And I just look at his stuff, and I'm like, I don't feel that way whenever I look at any other mainstream, we'll call it, I guess, superhero work. There's just something about it, and I'm not saying I mean anywhere close to that at all. But there's things in there that I wanna play around with. I wanna use some of his tools for a little while. See what happens. If I can channel the feelings I'm getting from looking at this stuff a little bit, and it makes me happy for doing that, then I'm gonna keep doing that. And that's really where it's coming from. So I know it's how we do it on here. I can't shut up. But compared to Will Eisner's stuff, it doesn't hold a candle in my opinion. They're two radically different styles and artists speaking different languages. And Kirby's to me, still it's very, very important. And I know Eisner is rightfully so a powerhouse in comics. But we need lots of powerhouses, right? In art in general. We don't always need the same people always on top. I guess in this case, Kirby's still one of those cats, and Eisner's still one of those guys. But it's nice to have different flavors of ice cream, right? But as long as it's still ice cream. Horrible analogy. All right, let's take a look at how this is looking. What I do like is how it's gross looking. There's some grossness to it, right? Like I don't know where his back is. And this is the battle I always have in my head when I'm drawing this stuff. Is I'm like, if somebody sent me this, I'd go right away, right? All right, well, let's make a new layer here. Let's create a red pen. All right, so his back should be, you know what I'm saying? And I'm trying to purposefully turn that off. I'm not trying to make ugly art. I'm just trying to have it. If I look at this, and I know eventually once we get to the inks and get some nice power, chunky black lines in there, some dots, and bring this together with some color and stuff, I do believe this will speak a little bit different. I'm just hoping that as I look at it right now, it's again telling a story, and it's interesting to look at. That's all that really matters. And it's not that I'm just because I might post this online or something. I want it to tell me a story so that I'm excited to keep spending some time with these characters. Doesn't that sound so artsy fartsy? Ben, are you planning to get some screen tones involved with this one? Yeah. I don't know. Again, I don't know if I'm going to keep the screen tones, but we did do them a little earlier with some previous stuff. I like the look. I do. I wonder if it dates it too much, and I'm not sure. So we're gonna have a couple more tests with that. Hey Joe, how you doing? What program do you use, or do you use multiple programs? As a guy wanting to get back into it and get better, I love these programs myself. Okay, so I use Clip Studio Paint. I highly recommend it as an alternative to Photoshop. To make comics, it's pretty much all you'll ever need. There's some editing things that aren't really in there for like post-production stuff that Photoshop's still like an industry standard for a lot of reasons. I apologize for my mush mouth as I can hardly speak. But if there was only two programs for drawing, all you need is Clip Studio Paint or Photoshop, one or the other. Clip Studio is much cheaper, and it does a lot of those cool things. It has a lot of really awesome features. Photoshop, for Photoshop reasons, And if you wanted to monkey around in any 3D software, like for backgrounds and stuff, you could always check out like what's it called, Google SketchUp, and those things usually won't steer you wrong. And thanks for popping in, bud. Myth, the face looks cool, and I like the circles on the costume. Thank you, sir. All right, let's get into it. So we're pretty much done. This stuff goes pretty quick. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna make a. What are we doing here? We're gonna make a new layer because we like lots of layers. And lifeless marker, how thick is that one? Let's go one more. Here, let's do this right. Okay, so we're gonna do this how we always do it. We need to close up all the shapes, Line art, is that what we're using? Yeah, okay. And we're gonna use one of our custom actions to basically put a contour layer around it. Well, I know most of you have always been in here, so you guys know what the hell I'm talking about with this. For those that don't, contour layer is just this thick black line that goes around everything. Some styles, people don't like it. I enjoy it. But what it also does is it makes a solid white line behind the figure, so you can overlap shapes. I'll quickly show you that. But it's a really good starting place for inking. And you can still do some adjustments and stuff. And the reason why I'm doing it is because from working in a video game studio, the one thing you'll learn faster than anything else is non-destructive artwork is the best. So if I can do something right now, such as make a thick line art or a thick contour layer and not have to undo it all and redraw it, I can just click some buttons on and off. It speeds up things and it allows you to play a little bit more. The cost of that, though, is those fun little artistic mistakes that you might make along the way. That's the cost. Okay, so I'll show you here. You get the wand. We're just going to select there. Now, it shouldn't go inside. You can see all the dancing lines around it. Just going to press my little action here. Okay, so what it did is, here, I'll make this really gross. We'll put like a 30 thickness edge, right? So you can see that's the quick contour layer. But it's also got this white background, right? So check this out. You see the blue trim lines? If I'm moving this guy around, no matter where I go, he'll block it out. Which is great because if you do a bunch of like multiple figures or something, and maybe the composition looks a little janky and you didn't really notice it before, you can move those characters around and it's pretty non-destructive, at least until you get into the inks, I find. So let's go to like a 6. 6 seems a little... Well, you know what, we'll start here, and that's the best thing. As I build up the inks, this might start to look worse and worse. Right? Alright, so let's save it up. Ben, I don't want to derail too much, but do you have any tips for pulling clean lines from SketchUp? Mine always get grossy. I have not, man. And don't worry about derailing it. It's all relevant there. I've talked to Will, and he's been pretty successful with it. I don't know if it's settings or something's off, but I have noticed that different people get different results using SketchUp and trying to get like clean line art from it. I don't understand. I don't know what we're doing. Why are we doing that so wrong? Alright, what are these layers again? These nothing. Alright, let's just kill all that. I'm going to turn off this. Actually, let's put this on multiply. Oh my god. Screen. Overlay. Multiply. What? Alright, that's what we'll do then. We'll duplicate that layer. We're going to rasterize it. So we should still have the thick outline. And we're going to make it transparent. There we go. I just wanted to be able to still see the background because I have, you know, those Kirby dots we're going to toss. I'm going to do those first because those are the fun stuff. And then with the fire and all that, then I can worry about putting in the big chunky shapes and all that stuff. Or should we? No, yeah. Let's do dots first. Yeah, let's just. And again, remember what I said? By adding these little guides, I'm going to be able to work them in a little bit easier, which is super fun. And let me get color flats. Is that the one? Yeah. Gregory, how's it going? Crazy fact: Lord of Light art. The pre-production art was reused by the CIA to rescue 6 U.S. personnel from Canadian embassy during the early phase of the Iran Argo. Is that story? Okay, that I don't understand. That blows my mind. I don't understand. So how did his artwork help? Do you remember? Like, is it on the tip of your tongue kind of thing? And I'm gonna go in with white after this to clean up like all the overlay. You'll see. I'm sort of just varying up the circle shape right now just to follow the guide that we put down. And then we'll worry about making it look all artsy after. But do you see how this helps? Hopefully you guys, I mean, maybe it's just me that gets a kick out of this, but do you see how this is helping just by having those guides? How you can get like a little bit more of a unique shape instead of just that sleepwalking. I call it sleepwalking. That sleepwalking, grab a Kirby brush and or the dot brush and just quickly hammer it in. You know, spend a little bit of time with it, put some thought behind it. You get some pretty good feels from it. I don't know. I like it. I like it. So I'm trying to just justify why I'm doing it. Alright. Now here I kind of just sort of mash in some little dots in there. They staged an exhibit to get in their country, but it was just a decoy to get the prisoners. Oh, that's actually pretty interesting. Is it a good movie? Now that I know it has like some Jack Kirby ties to it, you know, like I'm more inclined to watch that. Do they show any of his artwork? That's crazy though. Quickly, I'll talk about. I think how long? Like an hour already. That's crazy. Forgot how fast time flies when you stream with people. So I found some color swatches. You guys can type in like Kirby color swatches. I found some DC color squatches. But if you look over here, I believe this is on like a Kirby art museum. Some post somebody made. I just found it on Google. And I dropped it and put it all in here. I've been pretty much just using these. I'm finding some severe restrictions, but this is sort of like how they used to do it back in the day. And with restrictions, you kind of get creative and you kind of let things slide because there's nothing you can do, right? I have one here. It's just called Golden Age Comics. You can see there's a lot more range. Again, there's still restrictions in here, but I believe this is they used to just like watercolor a lot of their pages. Could be wrong on that. But what I've been digging about this is it quickly makes it so that your art. It's funny if you plan on coloring your art, you'll notice right away how fast color alone can make can put a timestamp on your work. So it's been awesome because I can only pick certain colors within there. So I've had characters next to each other with that kind of color scheme going on, and it's like a good example is the Fantastic Four. They're all wearing the same thing, or even the X-Men. They're all wearing the same thing when they're all standing next to each other. They all look samey. Nowadays, like there's so many colors and stuff that just wouldn't happen. You could push somebody in the background with an overlay or something. Um, I'm trying my best not to do that stuff, just to keep it honest. But it's been fun. The agent went to Iran. Okay, yeah. It was remade by a totally different guy. So did the art look like shit? Just generic, normal stuff, normie kind of looking stuff. Okay, let's put a new layer under here. Grab the white. See, so now what I can do is by painting with white, we can, and by working in layers here, which is great. I can always adjust this if I don't like how it's looking. actually going to put all this into a folder. We're just going to, whoops, call it dots. Hey Michael, how's it going, buddy? Dude, Jay, you should make a Kirby crackle brush. Oh no, that's what I was talking about, Cannon. I know you were out a little bit there. So actually, here I'll bring it up because it's been what, yeah, like an hour. So we'll have some new people in here so they can get caught up too. So the reason I'm doing that is I don't like the way Kirby crackle brushes look. At least the way I've been using them, I'm not a fan. So here's an example. This is the first one I tried. Trying to put the crackle in there, and I grabbed the brush. The reason why I don't like the brush, at least again for me, is that it feels like a brush, and I don't have control over it. I can shrink the size of it and how far they go apart, but I can't get this. You guys might notice it and look at it and go, okay, it's the same, dude. It's just me stuck in my own head with it. Yeah, right here. And I'll turn off the color so it's just black and white. That way you guys don't get distracted by all this crap. There we go. Okay. There's that. And put that on. Okay, so with the brush, I'm just kind of going around and trying to get your focus to go in here. But when I found out that if I made a path first, like a direction to go, and then started adding the dots over it, I could get more fluid stuff like this. Like I can't get this with a crackle brush. I haven't been able to. If you guys are able to, God bless, and please share that information if you got it, because it is a time-intensive process. But like again, what I'm saying is, I feel like I can get movement and like these cool, like organic-looking shapes. Where this one, I'm just slapping a brush down, and it just, to me, feels like it's taken away. It takes away more than it gives. Now, when you look at this, it might feel like I'm just using a brush, and I understand that. I feel like when I'm doing the line, what I just recommend doing, where I find that it gets better is when there's a lot more black, and you're building out of that shape. So it's like using the negative space a little bit more. And I agree, yeah, with like, oh hey Jamie, how's it going? Like what he's saying is that it feels more organic, at least to me. And for those that use brushes, do what you got to do. I'm not going to argue anybody that does any kind of comic book work about, saving time. Are you kidding me? That's like the number one thing all comic book artists want. How do I save more time? Alright, so we're going with fire here. I'm just going to figure out where we're going to go with the black shapes. Yeah, I think we're just going to go inside here. Life is good, dude. Life is good. How are you? I hope everything's good on your side, too. Alright, let's quickly just hammer in. I don't want to go all the way with this black, because we're going to use dots and stuff. Are we going black all the way in there? I think we are. Actually, you know what? You know what? Let's not do this. Let's not do this. Let's try to use color here. Color and inking. I don't want to put dots everywhere. Let's relax a little bit here, okay? Let's relax. Getting a little excited. All right. Let's clean this up. All right, got some overlap in shape. Cool, cool, cool. We're just gonna have his eyes doing the energy effect here. Let's turn this off. We don't need that anymore. This background, we'll fix all that up. All right, let's get some Let's get to the dangerous part, man. Let's do that inking. Pray for me, my friends. This is gonna get spicy. Is it? Okay. I think we just go in and we start with the face, man. Do we use like a big fat brush too? My brain is just firing off. I'm so insecure with this right now. I'm gonna sound like the biggest pussy in the world. Because I'm already grabbing this brush. I'm like, okay, so if we're going thick here, then we're going all over here. What about all over there? What do we do over there? Then everything's just gonna look thick, and it's not gonna look good. All right. Well, first let's worry about maybe let's just do some line weights, some simple ones. Then we'll start slapping this down. I feel like this brush isn't thick enough to get those power lines in there. Alright, let's get this intimidating stuff out of the way. Let's get this face done. Alright, let's pick a direction. I know with one of the fun things I'm finding when I'm... It looks like it died. I think the stream's trying to kick back up though. Okay, I think we're back. The machine's heard us talking about it and disconnected. Believe that? Alright, now the hair, I don't... see if we can kind of figure. I love these shapes that he would do. Just like, it looks like they're just like globs of paint. Yeah, I don't like that. We'll figure something else out there. Hey Darren, how's it going? Appreciate it, man. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up, man. It's good to see you too. Karen, how's it going? Everything's great. How are you? Sophia, how are you? Joe Mad is the greatest ever. Don't know if I could argue that. All right, let's get... So, okay, here's an example of stuff that I've been finding. Is like a cast shadow, right? I would go, okay, well, this head's coming down here and, you know, do something like this, which is great. But our boy, he would just, you know... A lot of the stuff... Like, yeah, let's just fucking get some weird looking, like, blah, blah, blah. Kind of... Just some nonsensical shape. I love it. I highly recommend, if anybody's even interested in trying to ink some of Kirby stuff. By the way, apparently this whole stream is just going to be a Kirby. We're just going to gush over everything he does. But I highly recommend trying to ink over his stuff. Man, does it feel good. It sucks because it's very hard to ink over his stuff. I found anyway, and I think it's because I'm trying to still, get my 2 cents in there. But it's been cool. That line there. Kirby jerk. Doing well. Have you broken in yet? No, I haven't even been trying. Just to be totally straight with you. I have not been trying to break into anything. Just haven't had an interest in working on comics for companies. Not that, if the opportunity presented itself that I would just immediately dismiss it. Just, I think, I guess it depends on the last time is that you've watched any of my stuff. But I was working on a lot of people were actually working on it. I found out afterwards, which is great. All these companies are always looking for people, which is awesome. It means there's always opportunity for people, right? But I was doing a Gwen Stacy versus the Vulture thing, and what was the one before that? I didn't finish these ones, but there was a Spider-Man and Ultimate X-Men, and then I think they're calling it Doctor Doom. And I think that was it. There might have been another one somewhere tossed in there, but I just found that as I was doing them, say what you will about it. It became, okay, I would come home from work, and then I would have to come down, and it wasn't like what I'm doing right now. To me, I'm just having fun, right? It wasn't fun. It was very much the opposite. It was very like, okay, let's do some work. And I on one hand, I understand everything that's worth getting is you got to put in time and work. Never going to dispute that. But it was very telling to me when I'd come home and I'd not want to do that. And if you want to work for one of these companies, it just made me think, if I don't want to do this now, if I got a full-time job with these cats, let's say, right? Whatever that means in comics, but if I got that, and you wouldn't know if you'd really want to be happy with it unless you got it, right? It's tough. It's a tough one. So I just decided to go, you know what, still, I'll be 35 this year? No, 36. I'll be 36. I don't even know how old I am. I still don't feel like it's something I'd be really happy doing. Some stuff in the background's happening, though, I will say. That's sort of changing that or making me question that point of view. So who knows? But right now, that is the decisions of why I haven't been pursuing it. Ben, do you make any boards on Pinterest? If you do, could you post your profile so I can follow you? Yeah, I think if you just go to jonathanrector.com, I believe there's a Pinterest link up there. If there's not, I think it's just... here, let me share with you guys right now. I have a whole bunch of boards on there. I got like upload board and crap and blah, blah, blah. Copy. Okay. Hopefully this will work for you guys. For those of you that are on Pinterest... Jamie, Jack Kirby is one of my favorite artists. It's unbelievable how much artwork he created in his lifetime. Yeah, absolutely. That's somebody that wanted to make comics or enjoyed making comics. I refuse to believe somebody cranked out that much work just because they had a family and they had to. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. I'm not sure. All right, what are we gonna do with this? I'm gonna just get a big fat brush here. Let's get stupid. All right, so I always have to think when I'm doing this inking stuff. So we got this arm, and I want that arm to be very, very whatever. So let's just throw a big fucking line down there. I want you to look at this arm. Let's get some lines going over there. I'm trying to stay away from rendering as well. I know a lot of people add rendering to their work. So far, I'm trying to just keep my, and to those that do render, I'm not crapping on you. I like rendering. I'm just trying to keep my tools to a very minimal amount. Let's get these big power lines in there. 36. Man, almost a prime age of changing. I know I'm catching up to the guys that did anything around those ages, right? That's cool, man. I'm looking to quit my day job to do freelance full time, but I don't know how to take the leap. And we could talk about that if you guys want. And you know, I've been candid about it. My fears of doing freelance. Cannon, I don't know if Cannon's still in here. I believe, I could be wrong. Hopefully you can help me out here, Cannon. But I believe I don't think you have a part time or full time job, right? You just do art full time. And if that's true, just share if you're still even in here. I'm not sure, brother. But explain to people what that's like, what that life is like. Jamie, I remember reading somewhere that he didn't like to ink his own work because he loves storytelling. Yeah, totally. I enjoy myself as well, just to write off those coattails. I enjoy telling stories. I found that that's what I like about comics so much is that I can be the producer, the direct, can be all of it. I don't need a team. But when you do have a team, you can make more, and that's always great. But anyway, just hopping back real quick. Okay, yeah, Cannon, I know I'm probably asking you a lot, and if you're busy, you don't have to. If you just want to type all, because you got to type quite a bit maybe to answer that. But just to sort of take a break here, just to talk about it. So I've let you guys know before too. When I've been making the decision, like I work at a small video game company in Windsor where I live, and I've become comfortable, for better or for worse, doing that job. But I would say it's like maybe it's a 50-50 split. Some days I really enjoy it, some days I don't. I think that's just work in general, right? And you always got to find the good stuff in what you do. But the one thing that it doesn't do for me creatively is I don't get to exercise the storytelling aspect of what I enjoy often. So a lot of days that means when I come home, I'm burnt out from work, and I would love to be able to just continue and tell these stories, but I'm just tired. And I know that sounds, or could come across as, well, too bad, suck it up kind of thing. And I do agree. I do agree. But because of that, that is what puts that doubt in my mind of, is this what I should be doing? Should I just give this art thing a shot? Should I just quit and go, you know what, let's try it once in our life. It's a small world. You only get so many options in the light, blah, blah, blah. Usually that's fueled by something that matters. And when you do take that leap, fire's lit under your ass, and you start doing freelance work that you might not have done before and all those kinds of things just to get the bills paid, because it's up to you now, right? I feel like when you go to a job, whether you got it because of your skills or if you just handed in a resume and it got accepted at the time, there's still like a part of you that you have to show up and do something, right? You have to at least put a part of yourself into it. Now, the scary part, and this is the part where I know I'll come across as weak in this, and I do think it's a little sign of weakness and insecurity. It can be fixed, but that's what's fueling this other side of what I'm saying, which is to say that it scares me to death. Maybe not to death. That's really extreme, but it's scary enough to prevent me still from actually going and trying to do something where I'm the guy that's responsible for my income solely and getting work. Look at a good person I'll bring up, because we all know him, Will Robson. Fantastic guy. He was able to do these things, and now he works at Marvel, working with Todd McFarlane on some Spawn stuff. Did some DC work. Did a Ninja Turtles cover. I couldn't be more proud of that guy. And even Cannon in the chat too, right? He's done phenomenal amounts of work. And the thing is, I'm scared. I'm ashamed by it too, because that's being scared. I'm not using that being scared to fuel my own fire to pursue something that I'm in charge of. If you want to call it your own destiny, right? Like that. So it keeps me buckled down to the day job that, like I said, is 50-50. Sometimes I really enjoy it, and sometimes I'm like, it's just the thing. But the thing that I'm just doing there, it's not satisfying one of the things that I creatively need, and that's why I know there's this back and forth. I have to imagine even some of those people that do comic books, you might not want to be doing them, but there's something in there that you enjoy that gets you through the bullshit. right? Because if that's why they say you gotta love the process, right? And if there's parts that you don't enjoy, you're just gonna hate it, and you're gonna wish that you were doing that thing somewhere else. So for me, and it's sad, and I've very well become aware of this, that it's sad. I might not ever get that courage to do that, take that plunge. And I know the older you get, the worse it gets, you know. And just to get a little candid, right? My girlfriend and I, now we're starting to talk about the possibility of having kids, right? So things get even more riskier. and honestly, it feels like as this is approaching, my finances are in a spot where I'm not wealthy, right? I don't have billions of dollars, but I am very fortunate that I don't have debt, and I have a little bit of a nest egg saved up. And I would be lying to you guys. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I know there's artists that watch this and artists that listen to this and people that are here that are maybe in the same boat or might be in the same boat eventually, and maybe this, you're not alone. And I'm not alone with this stuff, but there's more and more getting closer for me going like maybe this is the time, right? To try, because if I don't, all these other things. So anyway, that's where I'm mentally at, and because of that, it's keeping me paralyzed from acting. And so when I do this stuff here, like what I'm doing with you guys today, this is actually fun. I enjoy, I started this on my own free will. It's a Sunday. I have the day off. It's great. I'm just coming here. I'm going to draw, work on some more of this idea to turn into a short story. And I have no intent other than that. It's just to make a little story I've got in my head that's super simple. Probably not going to have a lot of impact on anybody, which is fine. But if somebody looks at this and they go, cool, then awesome. Then I'm doing what an artist should, right? And that's really the intent from it. There's no big, grander things from that. And I enjoy that. But I would be also lying to you guys if I didn't think that there's like a little extra something that I know I could achieve if I don't even know if it's a belief in yourself, but if it's something like you have to do this, if that makes sense. Anyway, let me catch up with you guys. I do appreciate you guys listening to that ramble. Okay. And thank you, everybody that's in here, too. Okay. Let me scroll up here. Okay, cool. So Cannon did get back to us. Thank you, man. I do appreciate you taking the time. So Cannon, again, if you guys don't know, you might be watching this after the fact. Go check out Cannon's work. His name is Cannon White, and it's spelled Caanan White. Like black and white, okay? Check him out. He posts a lot on Facebook. I don't know if you got other places you want to plug to. So he's saying, oh, and by the way, just a little context. I've known Cannon for digitally anyway. I've met him and his family. I don't know if I think you had kids since I met you. Way back in Chicago. Oh my God, this would have been what, 2000 and, a little after 2000, right? Somewhere between 2000 and 2005, I believe, somewhere around there. We met at Wizard World. We're both working for a company called Ape Entertainment. I believe Brent Irwin was the guy that was running. No. I was there for that, and we were talking with a cat named Greg Phillips. We were going to be doing some sort of like fantasy dwarf, or at least I was some sort of comic war hammer, war healer, something like that. Anyway, cool guy, awesome guy. I've had a lot of deep chats with him about art and stuff, so we go back quite a ways. That's why I'm just kind of plugging him there. Anyway, let's get caught up here. So Kanan's saying, with freelance, it's a risk. Lots of ups and downs, lots of learning, trial, and error. He'll be 41 this year. Went freelance, I think, was at 32. And I'll catch up with what everybody else is saying in between here. And he's saying, and like what Jonathan said, there was something in me that I knew I needed to start. And if I didn't do it, I would never have done it. It's definitely the road less traveled. I've made a lot of bad decisions and good decisions. Days I question why I'm doing this. In the hard times, he thinks of this stuff. But the liberty to do what I love is why I'm glad I made the decision. You're right, Jay. The process and the constant discovery. You have to know your passion. I went freelance with a family, by the way, which is huge. Definitely count the cost, I believe. It's trial by fire, but I enjoy the freedom. 2004 it was. Okay, so Cannon, I'll just throw one other thing at you here. Sorry. Thank you for giving me your time here too, but so the thing I'll ask you then, this one might be a little personal. You can just not even answer. That's fine too. I'm not going to ask you how much money you make, but it's along those lines, right? So how do you word this? Who is the primary income driver in your family? Is it you? Is it your wife? Is it somebody else? Are you able to just get by? Do you feel constantly stressed about money? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel how do you feel about the whole thing? And what's the financial situation? Again, you can skip it all together. The only reason I'm asking that, maybe I should just you can answer that, or I should ask that in private. The only reason I ask is because I know money isn't the end all be all, but we need it sadly to live, right? That's the I honestly believe that's for me the biggest handicap in me making the decision to go is that I feel ready. I feel like I could draw anything, and I need a lot of work and help and all that stuff. But that reservation of I might like I might not have money this month to pay necessities. That's and I understand where the opposite of that is. That's where you could drive like an actual fire under your ass, right? That's what people say when you've got a mouth to feed. You know, you're gonna stay up late to do these works. So that's where the sacrifice comes in and all that, right? But is and this is even trickier too. Is it worth it? Maybe these are really high philosophical questions that are just I don't know. And then I even have another question to add on top of that too. And this should probably be personal too. You know what? No, I'm not gonna ask because that's more ego stuff. Okay, let me just catch up here. Then we'll get back to doing some drawlings. So in between all of that, Eric popped in. How's it going, Eric? How are you? I hope you're well, my man. James was just chipping in. Eric was saying he's got 2 kids here. Freelance is tough, but it's worth it, and you can do baby steps. All right. So Eric, so how long have you been freelancing for? And are you the sole provider of income in your family, or and if not, is your significant other or whoever else is chipping in? Do they produce more than you do? Essentially, and I'm one of those old school guys where it's kind of like the man in most cases, the guy that's got to bring the bread into the house and feed mother and baby, right? Not to say women can't do anything that a man can do and all that stuff. I get it, but to me, I'm rooted in that belief that it's still the guy's opportunity. And if you don't bring in the most money, you're not less than, right, like that. But I can't help but think that a lot of guys are goal driven, and it's not like we show off with money. But I know my family is safe because I'm bringing in some money that keeps everybody comfortable, and that makes me feel good. That makes me feel like I'm actually contributing and doing something. So it's very, in my opinion, it's different between how a woman and a man treat that role. I find anyway, a lot of the guys I talk to, a lot of the men I talk to, just that alone, having something to do that brings in money, that gives you worth, and it gives you value, and it boosts what you feel like inside, and it definitely helps your morale and your everything else that comes with being a man. And there's a lot of factors out there that try to belittle men for stuff like this, but as simple and as complex as men and women are, I do think that in this case, right? And that's another thing with this freelance stuff. If you're a guy, if I go out there and I do that, what is it? That has to take a massive hit to your stones, and it's like there's a couple months I can't get by, and it's sad. It's sad. And not to say that if you worked at some day job or something that you wouldn't go through these things either, but it's different when it's up to you, Anyway, this is what I forgot that I loved about this stream. Is all you guys talking, or I know I'm talking, but these questions I get answered and stuff, this is the good stuff, man. Kata is saying, I'm 24 with minimal college experience. I just feel like my life has been stuck and too comfortable for a year now. I feel like I need to take that leap and stop working jobs and make others' dreams come true. I will say, if you're living at home, have a deep conversation with your parents. My dad kicked me out because I was starting to go along that lines, for better or for worse, of like, this is the thing I want to do. And the reason why I say talk to your parents is because if you can live there for just even maybe a little bit. I mean, 24 is kind of old. Probably should be moved out by then. I know times are different, but it's different. Like maybe if you do get kicked out, right? It's like, all right, well, freelance becomes really difficult when you got to pay for your rent and stuff, right? But there's lots of people that are that are doing it, so it's not impossible. It's not impossible. I think you said the one word there that made this very, very real as to why people like myself and perhaps you and other people that haven't made that leap is comfort. We're just comfortable. And is being comfortable a horrible way to live life? No, not really. But how much life are you losing by not, by being a little uncomfortable? That's the trick question. Okay. Oh man, you guys are lighting up this chat. Thank you. Chris, this has got to be the deepest art chance. Thanks, babe. Cannon, at times you hit your stride, at times you literally are on a hustle. Okay. And yes, he's the sole provider. That's how you feel too. Okay, cool. All That's what I'm saying. Most dudes, I think it's very. How's it going, Aaron? Most guys, it's pretty simple. Guys are complicated. You know, you always hear stuff where people say like guys are simple, women are complicated. The reason why women are complicated generally is they're more emotional, and that doesn't mean they're bad or stupid or anything negative. They're just usually tied to their emotion. Guys are very easy in terms of we have a task like a to-do list, whether we write it down or not, and we like accomplishing that. Just that, period. So if you've got a really cool to-do list, we're pumped. That's it, right? So when you're able to go like provide for my family, that's tough. That is super tough. Or provide for yourself if you don't have a family. Pay rent this month. That could be tough for people, right? But when you have a job or you have some sort of making income, you feel good by doing that. And you might not necessarily right away realize that, but you know, there's a reason why there's a lot of guys that are in not just comics, but I guess just industry sort of stuff like this. Not that women aren't. I always feel like I always have to caveat that women are, like don't fall into this category and stuff because it's different. It's just different. That's all. As a guy, I'm just speaking as a guy. Myth. What are the particles coming out of his eyes? It's just like an energy. It's an old school way that Jack Kirby invented to show power and energy through ink lines, and I love it. I'm trying to adopt more of it. That's all. Canon, some days it's a pavement thing, especially if you're not at a major company. Okay. I could just sorry, I'm just gonna keep going with cannons, and I'll jump back to Eric's there because they're kind of caught up there. But then there's also truths about these companies that you still need to cover the bases. It's true. Well, here, Cannon, I'll ask you this, buddy, because I know you've had a couple ups and downs and stuff that you shared with me. I think it was like maybe a year ago, maybe less than that. But would you take, and this is kind of stupid, but would you take anything back from when you decided to go freelance? Would you have gone earlier? And if nothing would have changed, what was the thing that made you finally do it? I know you said you had that feeling inside of you, but was it like a job that you landed where it was like, you know what, I'm just going to stick with this and then we'll see what happens after that? And then just jumping back to what Eric was saying there is he feels the same way. His wife has a very good job. He stays at home with the kids and do freelance on the side. It's tough to make it work. We're trying to make the switch so I make enough for my wife to stay at home and for you to do right. And I mean, most women want kids, right? And I would never argue that a mom would want to stay home and just raise their kid, right? And if you're, again, I feel like I got to soften that up. If you're a woman that wants kids but you still like to do business and you don't want to go home and spend time with the kids, like, you know, the traditional mom thing, that's fine too. I'm not saying you have to do that, okay? So save the comments for somebody else. But I totally understand what you're saying with that, man. I get it. Yes, the Kirby crackle. Cannon saying discontent and lack of focus on the job. You felt trapped, like I was meant to do more. Okay, I like what you're speaking, man. I do feel that way right now. You guys, man, I love you guys. You guys turn this into like a therapy session. I'm so selfish. I turn this into a therapy session for myself. Through your guys' help. You felt like you were in a dead end spot, even though the job I was doing was art based. Okay, yeah. Keep speaking my language. I like what you're selling. We're gonna curve that down. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate that, man. And I say it all the time to you guys. I do mean it, right? Like, I love you guys, and I appreciate your honesty. And I'm definitely one of those believers, and I think a lot of us, I know, Canon especially, I know is too, and a lot of you guys that are in here that aren't speaking, or those that are, you guys are very. What was that movie that came out, right? Where it was the Pay It Forward movie. Whenever that came out, and it was just like now it's always been a huge thing, but Canon and I especially, I don't know about some of you other guys. I can only speak about Canon, and I'm glad he came in today too, by the way. Is that it's like when we started connecting with each other, it was through like the internet was still something else. The internet was not at all what it was today, right? Like, um, and like finding things was tough. So when you found certain people, or and even with Canon, man, it just started. I don't know about for him, but for me, it was like this guy's really good. Like, wow, this is some good stuff. I'm getting excited just looking at this, and it was through admiration that got me excited to even, whatever. And then once, and this is sort of like what the stream does for me, sort of that paying it forward kind of thing, is that you might think the person you're admiring is like way above your skill level or something, right? Like some bullshit. Um, but then they turn out to just be a really cool person, and you get to talk to them, and what they say is you start to notice that they have a lot of similarities with you and what you're doing, and you're not. Again, it's that thing. You're not alone. There's a lot of decisions to be made, and I feel like now we're just turning this into like about men, about men show, but especially guys, it's so hard to, at least again, the fellers that I'm talking to, so much questions and doubt, and there's like things aren't certain anymore, and there's a lot that gets placed on guys, man. Of you got to have your shit together. If you don't have your shit together, you're somehow a failure, or like it's easy. What do you mean you haven't figured it out yet? That kind of thing, and especially and then add on to that. I mean, art in general, right? Like that's where it gets real spicy. Is some like art's a really fucking bitchy thing when you start letting, I guess, more emotions in than just like the goal oriented stuff. Like I was saying, for me, I've noticed is a little easier for the fellas to appreciate and get behind. So anyway, the thing is that I guess I'm getting stuck with. I'm gonna actually have a talk with my girlfriend when she gets home, just to have a feel with her about what she thinks. She's super supportive with a lot of this stuff, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's the time thing that's getting scary, and you always hear about people talking about regret. Honestly, the biggest fear, and I think I've already said that a bajillion times, is that it's just like giving up what I have right now for what I assume might be better. Meaning, like if I were to leave my day job, let's just to throw that out as an example, right? It's like, well, could I ever get that job back if freelance doesn't work? How long do I give myself? Do I just go for a year? Is this forever? Does that mean that I got to go back to bagging groceries? Do I got to go work at a dollar store again? Right? Like, those are the real things. But on the other hand, right, it's like, but what is the cost if you don't do those things? Is it this? Because this doesn't feel good, you know. And I remember talking to Elena actually last week about just how work was going, and it was just like kind of like what you guys are saying. The cats in the chat that have been going freelance, and I would reach out too, since we got a couple people in here that do freelance work. For those of you like me that are questioning stuff, they may be open to some of your questions. So feel free to ask. If you've got questions like I do, these are the people to ask. If you're scared, like I am, these are the cats to talk to. They're gonna give it to you straight. They're gonna tell you why you shouldn't do freelance art. Uh, I've heard the argument too of like, well, you got a comfortable job, and then I do think there's some merit in this too. You got a comfortable job, so it's bringing in your money. You got health care, all the good stuff. You're putting money in the bank. Just keep the job, and then when you come home, don't work for companies or anything like that. Just do you. And then that's real as well. Okay, let me scroll back up here. Jamie, I started off doing freelance and enjoyed the freedom, but there were times when there was tons of work and times where there was no work for long periods of time. Then I started to work full-time artwork at a company, but then didn't have time for energy to work on my own work. Yep. So what's your solution, Jamie? What are you doing then? Are you just doing freelance now, or are you still stuck at that job, or what? I'm gonna have to go grab some more water here. Plowing through this stuff. The male therapy session, yeah. One thing you can't do is read somebody else's map. That's words of wisdom right there to it, yep. Ben, John, I think you need to give Gurren Lagann a watch. It'd totally fire you up. Alright, let me just copy this. Paste and search. We'll leave that open. Okay, I already like the way that looks. Thank you, sir. I've been trying to watch a little bit of anime from now and then as well, just to, you know, change the palette up a little bit. Okay, so Jamie's saying, if there was one key advice I can offer, which may seem obvious, is save money. I worked full time as an artist and gave in some game companies, but I knew that it wasn't going to last, and it didn't. Yeah, you're right. Yes, you're 100% on that one. Hey Kai, how's it going? Nice to see you as well. You came in at a wonderful spot. Not much art's going on, and just male bro talk is going on. Eric is saying, I've not nailed down how to put my work out there and really get clients. That's the biggest roadblock for me. Okay, so how are you keeping afloat? So if you're doing freelance and it's hard to find clients, because I'm just curious, how do you stay afloat? Do you get like a job somewhere to get money, or is this just something, I read somewhere, Kanan's saying, I read somewhere where it said, as artists, if you do have a 9 to 5, have the mindset that you work 9 to 5 to fund your ability to make more art. Okay, I'm not going to dismiss that. I will just say that it's difficult, and that I don't necessarily think that's good or bad, but it's definitely difficult to go to work and then come home to do your own stuff after that. Because then, to me anyway, it started to feel like I didn't have a life and I was becoming a slave to this thing. And that is one of the underlying fears that I have with going freelance. It's because I've heard stories of people say, right, like, you could be working all nighters, man, because like you got to bring in the money, you got to do something, and that's, to me, very. I don't like the sound of that. That doesn't sound like freedom at all. Maybe it is in creative land, and I don't know because I haven't tried it. Maybe I lose my whatever I figure my life is. However, the rewards of being able to be, and again with the air quotes here, the creative freedom, maybe that far outweigh it. That I don't know. You guys have to be the ones to answer that for me. Michael, can you get that job back? But aren't there other companies that do what we're doing now? Plus, that you could go do. You all have that experience. But no. So here's the fun thing. In where I live right now, the company I work at, it's like the only video game company in Windsor. And most people are even surprised that it exists. It's a pretty small town, Windsor. It's a city. It's not really a town. I just keep calling it a town. It's pretty small. It shouldn't exist, honestly. Not that we don't make good stuff or anything like that, but it just, the things are stacked against companies like us. That's all. And especially in entertainment, like video games, you guys see how quickly, even if you don't play video games, you see how quickly companies go under. Like it's like they go out of style so quick, right? So kudos to the man that's running the company. He's done a tremendous job. But as a creative person, and this is just, this is where the spoiled. I always feel like sometimes artists, they always sound spoiled, and I'm gonna just give you an example of that. Is that he's doing what he's doing for the company, which is great, but he's not doing what I need, and that's where it gets the selfish sounding thing, right? And it's not up to him to do what I need. That's where this whole conversation kind of gets put in there. So it's interesting. It's just it's fun to think about. There's no ill will towards the guy, or even for some of you guys that work at places, right? Like I'm sure you guys, unless your boss, and I'm very fortunate in this way too. Like the people I work with are awesome. They're not douchebags. There's like nobody there that I would just be like, oh my god, like just kill me now. This person's horrible. That doesn't exist, which I'm grateful for, because I've worked, like I'm sure a lot of you people, in a lot of places, and that's generally not the case. Usually there's really miserable people. Actually, I don't. Here, let's fix this here because that curve isn't going right. And I'm hoping we'll color this up too, because color's fun. Let's fill this in. The one thing I noticed that Jack would do too with his inking is like he'd put like these straight lines where they shouldn't go. Like he'd put straight lines through metal, and usually you don't do that with metal, but it looks kind of cool. It's kind of fun. I like it. I like it. Okay, let's catch up with you guys, and thank you again, and I'll continue to say thank you for spilling out your life stories here. I do appreciate it. Okay, sorry, I trailed off there. Just to go back to what Michael was saying. So, if I did leave that job, I don't know if I could get it back. I'm the only artist there. There's another guy that works there as well, but he's part-time now. Just because of the amount of work. We don't have a lot of work, right? Like, really, the amount of work there is good enough for one person. So, I would imagine if I left, he would probably be considered to take full-time. Whether he would or not, I'm not sure. That's, it's his call. Or somebody else, I don't know. And for me to come back, it would be like, this is just airing laundry, really. I would have to just have this discussion with my boss there and just see how he feels about it, because it could be, like what if I take 6 months to a year off? Is it cool if I come back after that? It's putting a lot of liability on him, which I would assume, it's not good. You can't not have an artist in the studio for that long. So would I have that job when I go back? I would say 95% no. But there's possibilities. Other than that, there's really no other art jobs I could do that I know of. They just don't exist. There's, I think, another company that's around, but they do like website design. Like, kill me. I'd rather stock shelves than do that. So I would imagine if I left and it didn't work out, whatever that means, I would have to go get like a generic job, a factory job, or I don't even know. And that's scary too. Like, let's be real, right? I can't say it's difficult as it should be. Yes, you guys are right. Yeah. Jamie said, "I got. Oops, sorry. I got laid off, and I'm just taking a break for a bit to recharge. He saved enough to do this. I might go back in the gaming world in a couple months, but I have to balance doing my own personal work. Okay. So you wouldn't want to get back into? Were you doing comics or something, or what were you doing?" Michael saying possibly get a higher paying creatively wise position, but yeah, change is always tough because it's familiar. But then you grow. Yeah, there is no like I'm at the top position art wise in the company. I mean, I could ask for a raise, but it's not. It's not even really about the money, to be honest. Like, money's great. Don't get me wrong. It's the creative aspect, and that's the cost that's coming with this. That's where I understand having this kind of discussion with non-art people. Not that you're that. I mean, like, the girlfriend or family or whatever. Like, everybody always wants your. They want you to be okay. Usually, right? And if that's the case, then they don't risk, which is art, right? It's tough. Um, and I suppose really, what it comes down to, and this is helping me make not my decision, but it's helping me kind of put this together. Is like, so when you're dead, when you're dead and dying, whenever that is, we don't even know, right? You don't even know. You might not be alive enough to like even decide if this is something that you should be doing or something else. But when you're dead and dying and old, what you're giving up, or maybe I should just say what I'm giving up at like where I work right now. What does that matter? What does it matter? What if the company grew and stuff? What would that mean? Like, because I don't know if that would improve the thing that I feel like I'm missing. I can't invent the job or the position at work to fill that role because it's just not needed. I don't know. That's the tough one, right? And then the opposite is like, okay, so if you pursue this, for me it would be comics. That's 100% where I would go in. And like, if you had to do toy design or something on the side to make ends meet, or commissions and all that stuff, you're an artist. You're gonna do what you do, right? You're gonna use your talent and your craft to make the money and all that cool stuff. But what's the worst that comes from that, right? Like, is like how far would you go? That would just be. I don't think anybody's gonna let themselves go homeless or starve to death, right? You're just gonna go find a job somewhere else doing something you probably don't want to do. So I guess the question is that thing that you don't want to do, is the day job you have now, that thing you don't want to do, is it less worse than working somewhere else doing something you don't want to do? You see how stupid this is, and how the brain, you know what, it's the logic. The brain is just firing off on all cylinders for logic, and it's just trying its best not to go through any pain at all. So it's going to start questioning things. And it makes stuff like this super difficult. Because you're arguing with your brain. And your heart doesn't trust it. Your brain's lying to you. Follow your heart. That's so stupid. Okay. Let me catch up with you wonderful people. Kato is saying, man, I wouldn't mind doing a creative job. I work as a barista now, but not sure how to go about getting a creative job such as games, especially when I do comics every day. No, I get you. Trust me. I was working 2 part-time jobs, and that was when I was at my highest creatively output, or my creative output was the highest when I was working those 2 jobs. So I would work 40, 45 hours a week. Actually, more than what I do now. But I focused more on doing comics because I didn't want to work those jobs. So the fire was, this comics job is going to replace these jobs. So, it's fine. But that meant that I would push personal relationships aside and stuff, because you gotta work. You gotta chase the dream, right? So now that I'm where I'm at now, it is way better than those jobs. 100%. It's like night and day. It's an awesome job in a lot of ways. But the comics dream, I suppose, like that was my out, and it's not the same anymore because now I'm comfortable and I'm able to do what I'm doing right now for fun. And the thing is, I do have a belief, and this might just sound dumb. I don't know. You guys tell me. Is that when life is too fun, like it actually becomes like not good. You start to become like, I don't know a right word to use for this, but it's almost like you start becoming a slave to pleasure. Like I don't feel like I'm working hard. And I think because of that lack of working hard, and it's not even just like, okay, well, just give me more work to do. It's not that. It's the style of work doesn't require me to necessarily work hard. That it's, I don't know, maybe you just don't feel creatively challenged. Maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know. I'm sure some of you guys have something somewhere along those lines. Okay. Yeah, there's lots of good stuff here. Kai's saying, I wouldn't leave. For me, job security is high on my list. Sure. And yeah, it's high on my list. It's always been high on my list. I will just say, in case, whatever, maybe you weren't here while we were talking about it. Like, the only reason that's even getting brought up, really, is because my brain right now is fighting. Oops, let's get back there. Maybe it's not my brain. Something's fighting that I'm not being, my creative artsy fartsy asshole side is not happy, and it's causing conflict with the rest of my body. Stresses, just irritation, getting that kind of thing. Doing this right now feels very good, feels relaxing, calming. I could walk away from this right now, just kind of be upset that I didn't finish it, but it's not like I didn't do something. And when I go to work and I come home, I actually don't want to do this stuff. Sometimes I just want to put Fortnite on or play a board game or something like that. That's just get me away from a computer. Get me away from just drawing. I want to do it. So I don't exactly know what that means. But I hear you, and I don't like the idea of being trapped in job security. Like I know why job security matters. 100% matter or no. I just hate how, and this could just be like, well, tough kid, that's the way the world is. I just hate how that's like and in a lot of ways it feels like a prison, and it's not good. Candace saying, I think that should be the goal of freelance and or working for a company. What is that, job security? Eric saying, yeah, art jobs don't exist in this city unless it's pure graphic design, which I don't do. Yeah. Candace saying job security is definitely my motivation. I agree. Like, we all want a check coming in, right? Nobody's going to doubt that. Create now, sleep later. The money is why I stay in IT. I have the opposite problem. Mid-40s and all the money I need, but I have kids, so I can't quit. I also can't draw as much or write. Okay. But the thing is now, right? Create now, like, but that gives you a certain life that, and I don't know if comfortable fits in that. We were sort of talking about that before. It's like comfortable to me is almost like that. It's a very bad word. Comfortable is the word for people that are happy in their job, I suppose. Maybe that's it. Because like I've talked to people that are like they're happy, they're comfortable where they work and they enjoy it. You know, they enjoy going to work, coming home, and relaxing. And that's where it kind of gets a little. I don't know. Anyway, Jamie worked as a game concept production artist. Okay. Darren, your drawing is really making me think of All Might from. I think you're the third person to say that. Thanks, buddy. Kai, is it bad that you can't pursue it on your own time? Finding an art job here in the UK is difficult. Is it bad that you can't pursue it on your own time? I don't know. I definitely think there's some red flags to be put there. Yeah, a lot of it comes down to me anyway. The way I'm looking at it or rationalizing it, I should say, is that the day job for me anyway, it sucks a lot of the life out of doing anything when I get home. Like I just want to relax, you know. But the angry part is that it's like I don't feel creatively fulfilled. Sometimes, not all the time. But I have a sneaking suspicion that it doesn't matter necessarily where you go. That's the case. You know, I have a couple people that work in the industry, the comic book industry anyway, and they tell me kind of the same thing, right? Like they're not happy with the work they're doing at X publisher, but they need the paycheck and hopefully it gets better, right? Like it goes back and forth. I don't think I've ever heard a good story from people. Like it's very rare that you hear people saying stuff like, you know, comics. We'll say comics because it's the thing. You know that they found something in comics that was fulfilled them in every way. The only thing that I do like about the comics anyway in this discussion is I've been drawing this kind of stuff for a very long time, and this is how I feel like, and this is the man thing, I believe. This is what I am doing to contribute and to give back and sort of put my stamp in the world, kind of thing. And I think if you don't have that, you can feel a little lost. And like, why am I doing this? What's the point? So if you got kids and you're showing them that, you know, like daddy's doing, you know, if it was IT or if it's anything like that, like whatever you're doing, there's like some pride in that, right? And I think that helps. I don't see how it couldn't help. So maybe the trick is I should just have kids. Is that what I should be doing? Just have kids and it fixes everything. James, I found that grass was only greener on the other side, no matter what side you were on. You have to make it work the best you can in the situation you're in at the moment. Balance is the key. Okay, that's fun. Follow your heart. Balance is the key. Yeah. Hey, Unlimited Color, how you doing? Thick thighs, my belief. All right, I like it. Arguing with your brain, a good thing actually. Great way to be objective and see multiple sides of things for sure. But like you said earlier, paralysis from analysis. Kai, I did web design and I quit, and it was one of the worst mistakes I made. It was more due to my anxiety that crippled me. I just couldn't carry on. I hate web design, but at least it was somewhat creative than working part-time in retail. No, you know what? Okay, so maybe that's a little bit different though. Like when you quit, did you quit because like here's the thing. I definitely think not everybody should quit all the time just because you want to do something. You have to know whether or not you could like actually give it a go and make some money off of it, right? Like just to swing it back to me, make it all about John again. The only reason I'm having like thoughts like this is because I'm very aware, at least selfishly, dumb, stupidly, whatever, but I think I know I could make a living doing art, my own stuff. I just don't know how tough it would be, and that's scary. And what I'm giving up again is that guaranteed paycheck at the end of the week, unless you know something happens at the company I work with, they go belly up or whatever. But I'm guaranteed X cash. I can live a certain lifestyle. I can draw as little or as much as I want. All that kind of thing, right? Like that's the cost, and I'm totally aware of that. The only reason I bring that up is because again, if you're in the opposite case, if you're, and I don't know if this was you or not, but if you're quitting because you're like, you know what, I'm gonna give art a go, but you're not really ready, like you still got some schooling to do. It's tough. That's super tough. I don't think that's a good decision. That's a bad choice, right? Um, okay, just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna get some water and I'm gonna continue on where we're going here. This is awesome. Oh my god. Okay, I'm back. Just got a text. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to speed this up. I'm gonna catch up with what you guys are saying and see if we can get some color. The coloring actually goes really quick, but I just want to make sure this is done before I disappear. Actually, let's. How does this look over here like that? Yeah, we're getting really thick with these inks here. Okay, let me just catch up with what you guys are saying. And again, I do appreciate you guys chatting with me here. Kai's a woman, is she? Sorry, I didn't know if she was or not. Job security is high on every woman's list. One of the biggest issues is trying to scratch that creative itch while dealing with real world stuff. Wife, kids, stressful job. Yeah, I would imagine so. Michael's saying make a choice and know that it's not a lifelong choice, that you can actually change that choice if it isn't planning out for you. Yeah, I like that, man. You know, there's always a way out, right? You're not always trapped. Some people, currently are trapped until they can get their way out, obviously. But I hear you. I appreciate that. Ben, how do you tend to feel about crowdfunding and things like that? Would you think you would like doing a comic series that was funded by fans? You know what? Yes and no. Yes, because it seems like it could be cool. No, because I'm not a fan of doing all the shipping and packaging and the business side of that stuff. I mean, if I absolutely had to, I would give it a shot. But I don't have to, so I'm not doing it. That's why I just kind of draw and post online, and it's like almost like as little effort as possible coming from me. But people that do it, awesome. They make it easier every time somebody publishes something and gets it printed. They make it easier for the next people to try it and hopefully succeed as well. So that's all great. Michael's also adding there. He's saying, sure, that might bring discomfort for a period of time, but it does. But so does a broken arm or shingles. You can't heal from it, bounce back from it. Fears the okay. Unless it's jumping out of an airplane without a parachute, don't do that. Yeah, that would be pretty discomfortable as well. Create now. I would not use the word happy or comfortable. I would use financial security. This can be as miserable and addicting because now the job stress is something you put energy in. Okay, I hear that. Kids don't cure the itch. All right. No, kids do not fix everything. It will just keep you stuck in the engine of the world's nonsense. Creativity doesn't live there. Super scary. That makes me almost go like, okay, well, if I'm looking to start a family, I should probably pull the trigger. Ken is saying that's one of the things that motivated me as well. They actually want to get into art as well, and they are really good. Not like, oh, that's cute, but they're really good. His kids, okay, right on. Just little kids can't save a marriage. No, 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 no. That's different. And ultimately, I think someone said it. What's on your heart to do? Pursue that thing. Sure. Make sure your affairs are in order. Yeah, yeah. No, that's the thing. I definitely, I would square away a plan that I felt comfortable with. It would most likely be like, if I could land a, if somebody was willing, and this is where it kind of takes a gamble. Trying to get the Marvel DC stuff was the immediate thing I think a lot of people would go for, myself included, because you never know, right? Like that's a very quick way to see if something's worth taking a shot to do. However, I would have to get something like somebody willing to do like a 6 month, like a graphic novel, you know, sign some contracts, hope for the best. I'm not new to the field. I understand how that might probably not work. People always flake out and stuff. I totally understand. I'm just saying, if you had something like that in order, then you could go, okay, I'm leaving. Like I wouldn't just quit and then try to find something. I don't think that's smart. That's not smart at all. Okay, so what are we doing here? I'm just looking at this. I'm gonna start over rendering this guy. I think he's fine. I think the energy we got there is fine. What we might want to do here though is something for the background. I don't know if would this look good if we did something like that. I just know that we're gonna have some layers in here in the background. Maybe we can put some. I don't know how this would look if we just put a little bit of these dots around places. Yeah, we could try it. Well, part of the crowdfunding money could go to paying a person to do all the boring stuff. Yeah, no, you're true. Great now saying kids are not some scary thing. They're the best thing that happens to you. It's just whatever is providing incomes. You know what? I've heard things. Do you guys listen to Doug Tnaple? I believe he just had he's got a book coming out or something. He's trying to get a book. So he's looking for funding and stuff like that. And he had the woman from Everybody Loves Raymond on. I forget her name. And Doug was saying something actually, and this made me feel pretty good. I think it's more coming like it's a woman that got this advice, but as a man, you guys, the actual fathers in here, you guys would have to tell me. But I feel like it's reassuring a little bit, where they would say like, there's nothing really to fear from having a kid, because and I don't believe in God and stuff like that, but the analogy still is sound. Like God gives you a child with a baby in one hand and a loaf of bread in the other one, and I like that. It was very like it was a wholesome, reassuring lie. It might not be a lie. I'm just saying that because it just makes it a little bit more fun. But and I do think whether you believe in God or not, the idea there is like you'll find a way to take care of everything. There's the rare opportunities where like life gets real shit and things happen that you're not in control of. But I imagine most of us here, we're not insane people, entitled and all that stuff, where things aren't adding up, so you start pouting. Most of us in here sound like we at least are goal oriented in some way, where you want to try to get better or to help or to take care of things. So that's good. Hey, Jojo. How does this look? Here, you want to come up here? You want to come up on the big chair, bud? Here, let's move that over there. There you go, buddy. You want to come sit up here? There you go. Come on. There you go, Jojo. Good boy. Ken was adding a lot of the big two look at the body of work published. Yep, you've already done. So even the indie market is a good way to make some cash. I have no problem with the indie stuff. I feel like there is something to be said about, if you work at Marvel or DC, you're going to get a different kind of fan, There's just there's a lot of people that just don't read indie stuff, right? For better or for worse. That's not to say anything, but yes, I'm with you too, buddy. And on that same thing, Cannon, are you interested in working for the big guys? Or and I hate calling them that because it just makes them whatever. But are you interested in working with them? Have you tried doing samples? Like, how's that been going for you? Or are you just perfectly content with what you're doing with the indies and all that stuff? I know Uber was like a long time ago, but I really enjoyed that. You can always get back to art later in life. Just keep it in the game. Yeah, totally. Dude. For your next batch of prints, you should do Cat JESOP pinup. Ken saying he really enjoys the indie work personally. If I could add to that, I don't know if I'm not going to try to steal your thunder with it, but a lot of the stuff that I've been like, I got a couple pitches over the last couple of years that I've turned down just because of the time it would take. Um, but one of the things I really enjoy about indies is that it's very much like us, I suppose, where the stories are all very there's like really no editorial. You know what I mean? It's all very whatever's cool, I suppose, and that could be bad or good. Like there's nothing really holding anything down. It's just whatever you want to do. It's okay. I'm not sold on these just yet, but I'm just putting them in here, and then we can always go back and see if they don't fit. Honestly, I haven't had the time to do samples, but if I did, I'd rather still work, or I'd rather work for Valiant. Cool, man. No, I like it. That's the thing. There's options. You know what though, Cannon? Like, I'm happy for you, dude. Like, because I hear the horror stories, and the horror stories are what add to the doubt of somebody doing something or paralyzing them and stuff. For somebody that's been drawing as long as you have, to still be in the game, especially in the indies and stuff, like it's admirable, man. Not that it's like it's a minefield out there and people are dying, but you know what I mean. Like the opposite is usually you'll hear a lot of people, they're in there for a while, and then myself. Let's use myself as an example. I'm in there for a while, and nothing. I don't say nothing comes out of it, but like you think the natural transition is to like Marvel DC or something, right? And so that doesn't happen. People like me, they just start disappearing. It's like you get eaten up in the indies. You either move on to Marvel and DC, or working in the indies long enough, and you're just like, I hate this industry. Nobody pays you. Everybody's out to screw you over. I hate it. Man, it's hot in here today. Holy hell. I want to commission you for a 5-volume comic book. I have no experience in the industry, but I have a stellar story that's about superheroes, but it's innovative. Take this, and it's your first story ever. I like it. I like it, Ben. I need you to pitch it a little bit more. Tell me more about it. Does it pay in exposure? You'll retweet one of my tweets, or that's a really good answer. All right, here I'll throw one question at anybody who wants to answer it here. Mostly directly towards the cats that are doing the freelance stuff. But since I got you, so what would you recommend? Because I'm always interested in advice. What would your guys' game plan be if you could make one for your pal John here? What would it be? If I was interested in taking or pursuing the challenge of comics, because it's even if it's not my own, even if it's other companies or something, but it's a way that I can help express stories that I'm not creatively getting currently at my day job, right? It's a part of me that I enjoy. I like telling stories. Um, but what would you recommend that I would do to make that transition? Would it be, you know, obviously let's assume quitting isn't on the table. Is it just keep asking for samples from companies? Is it just keep working on freelance stuff? At what point is the tipping point? I've like, and I asked this like as somebody that has, obviously looked into this stuff before. This isn't like totally new to me. Uh, I'm just curious as to what you guys would think if you had any advice to offer. The main stuff for other people that I've always heard is that it's, if you never quit unless you're making money off of the thing you're doing, um, first and foremost. And if you think you could actually make something off of it, if you're just doing work and you go, screw it, I'm quitting my day job and I'm gonna do pinups or cute little chibi characters for a career, but you've never sold any, or you don't even know if you could do it just yet, if your ability's even ready. Those are different red flags, right? Canada saying don't quit. Build the drive to do it again. Start with indie work. Also let them know you're doing it part time. You have a full time job. Find a sugar mommy. That's step number one. Andrew, that's there's got to be a brush for that Kirby crap. Yeah. So I know Andrew, you're popping in a little late here, but I'm purposefully doing it this way. I feel it looks better than a Kirby brush. Some people might not even notice it, but I can get a little bit more. Like here's a good example. I really do like the way this top part. Let me zoom out so you can see it. See how organic this looks? I feel like when I'm working with a brush, I can't get this. So that's why I made the switch. So here's an example. When I was first doing this, this is a Kirby brush. Now, granted, there's no artistic thing through on there. It's just like a silhouette. And then with this guy, I started adding more of like a pattern. I believe, like I could probably get there with this, but there's definitely a difference between these two. And I just enjoy the way this looks. I do think the problem with the Kirby crackle, I mean, the dots I'm using are probably too small. It's giving it a different feel. It should probably be like really big like this. But the 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 trick with the Kirby stuff is when you look at it, there's two things. When people are lazy, they don't want to spend. Lazy is not the. Maybe lazy is the right way. No, it's not. Lazy is not the right word. People like to be efficient with their time, right? So if I can spend a little bit of time doing this little design thing, but I can spend more time doing the anatomy or telling or drawing more panels, I get it. This is more artistic. Artistic. What's the word I want to use here? Artistic. This is based on what I think looks better artistically. That's what I'm trying to say. So yes, you're right. There's definitely a brush that could be used to speed all of this up 100%. I just prefer the way it looks. That's all. What are we saying there? Yeah, man. Start with some indie stuff. Yeah, you're right, dude. I was thinking about along those lines as well. Dark Horse, IDW, Boom, Dynamite. Yep. I would love, you know what? I would honestly really enjoy working with one of those. Is that who you've been working with, Canon? Like those companies, or do you normally work with just like legit indies? Film Spaz, how's it going? Enchanting your kids' imagination someday with your storytelling could fulfill the need for story. Yeah, you know what? That I have thought of that as well. I'm glad you bring that up. The other thing, and this might just be that I'm not even a dad yet, but you know, it's something that I've always thought about. It's like I do like the idea because my dad did it with me, but I do like the idea of showing my future non-existent kids, or even my niece, anybody, your kids, anybody's kids, or just people in general, that you know you can achieve stuff by putting in some hard work, and you can help brighten people's days by contributing and adding to art and stuff like that. Um, Not that you need to work for a company or something like that for it, but really it just comes down to a lot of the days that I come home from work, I'm just burnt out from work, like most people are, and I just want to relax. And storytelling for me, like this kind of stuff, this is fun. This is a pinup. This isn't a comic book page, right? Like that's a whole different beast. That stuff requires so much effort and imagination and thought that it's just it feels like work a lot of the times, especially when you're coming home from work. When I didn't do this stuff full time, it didn't feel like work at all. But yeah, this is kind of coming together. I'm digging it. It's got like some amalgamations from different. This isn't totally looking like the Kirby esque kind of stuff that I was doing on the previous one, but I like it. I'm trying to introduce this a little bit more to like the I guess how I would normally kind of draw, which is good. I'm digging it. It's got a feel to it. Aesthetics. Thank you. You found the words I couldn't find. Okay, so let's save this up. Let's slap some quick colors on there before I got to wrap this up. Okay, so we're going to grab all of this. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to layer, combine selected layers. Go there, get a folder, call it color. Drop it in. That's our paper, I guess. What am I doing? Yeah, okay. Let's go there. No, sorry, I got distracted, Dennis. Yes, that's what I was going to add. You can't, you can't choose what it is. I don't think. As a parent, you probably can't choose what you want your kids to remember you by. It's just you never like. There's too much that happens in life to be able to pick just one thing that they're going to remember you by, right? Totally agree with that. Let's get our colors here. Alright, so these are already a bunch of Kirby colors that I already sampled from my swatches over there, so I'm just going to quickly use those ones. Start with the blue. But I mean, ultimately what I think would be cool is whatever my fake imaginary kids are, that showing them that, you know, pursuing something that's not the 9 to 5 is possible if it's something you really want to do. You know, like I do believe it'll probably change in time. That, oops. Like I know I was wired for a very long time to okay, if your job isn't stable, don't do it. And that comes from my dad. I know it's like an older school of thought, and I totally respect it and I understand where he's coming from with it, right? Constant income is always great. If you can always have that, then always have that. But sometimes, like with besides our brave freelance heroes in the chat, it's it's scary. And I don't know if it's one of those things that wouldn't normally be scary, or if it's just like it's just the name of the game. Or some people are more, let's say they're more of a man. I don't know. They look at that fear and they're like, screw that. You guys ever listen to Gary Vaynerchuk at all? I've listened to a couple of his stuff in the past. I agree with a lot of what he says. He talks a lot about, doing this sort of thing. And it's definitely always easier the younger you are. Because you have less risk. Right? That's what business is. Risk versus demand. What do we got here? Again, I'm working with Stranger Comics right now, okay? As well as some others. So yeah, legit true indie, okay? Okay, cool, man. Oh, and doing the cover work for Zenescope. Voiceover work? Is that what it is? Sick, dude. Awesome, man. So how did you get in contact with them, or did they get in contact with you? Still the old routes, DeviantArt and stuff? Did you ever do screen tones in Photoshop? I've been making my own, but they're a bit clunky to work with. Yeah, I did it with the other one. It's literally just, there's like a filter, pixelate screen tone, halftone. Hopefully I'll show that in a second. Because I've just been doing color flats. I haven't been doing shading. I might add shading to this, I'm not sure. We'll see. I'll do that off camera so we can get something wrapped up here. Neglect your kids? Nah. Oh, man. Some good water. Okay, let's get. Let me just close all this crap here. We don't need all this cabbage. All right, let's get our red. Red. So one of the things I dig about this look is like it's all just flats. Makes it super easy to color. Whether or not it looks good, we'll see. I think inside of here is red, yeah. Alright, so you guys keep bringing up that hero guy. So I think I'm going to, instead of keeping the yellow, I'm going to keep his little color here green. I don't like the idea of getting mixed up with other characters. I know it's, when I look at it, I don't necessarily see that, but if it's, I'd rather not be in the same conversation as that. Not that I think it's a bad thing. I just, it's superhero-ish, so I don't want to mix them up. Not that it matters, because not a lot of people are going to be reading this anyway, right? What do we got here? Oh, okay, variant cover. Thanks, Michael. Fix that for you. I misread that. Gary V gives me a mix of thinking it's easier said than done versus that's just the way it is, so do it. Yes, I'm in the same boat. Not to say something no, but they said something, or they saw something you posted on Instagram, and I got to meet them at SD. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think that's the thing too, is definitely going to more places and getting back in that old routine of, hi, would you like to see my portfolio? I don't think I've done that since, holy hell, our old days of going to Wizard World and all that stuff. Damn. It's been a while. The last one I did was in New York. But that was the DC one where you just drop your portfolio off in a giant bin. It always feels good. If you guys haven't had the chance, if you guys want to work in comics, like work with like, the bigger companies, and you haven't been to a convention yet, I highly recommend doing it. Just so you can see your portfolio going to like a giant garbage bin or a giant box with how many people are actually still looking to try to get the same job you're trying to get. It's very humbling. It gets you motivated to really think about if this is something you want to do. Because that's just one spot in the world on one day at one time you were there, and there's a lot more, right? And it really drills in, or at least it did for me, it really drilled into my head, like how serious people are taking this. If you're not as serious as them, not that you're wasting time, but you're probably better off spending that time doing something you really want to do instead of competing with all of that. You know what I'm saying? Unlimited color. How can I get over comparing my work with other artists that inspire me? Honestly, the answer I have for that is it's a maturity thing. The older you get and the more you've been drawing, you'll start to get your own crowd. People will start to like your stuff. I don't have a number on like how long that'll take. Just know that it'll eventually happen, and it's probably not the answer you want. Just know that the people that inspire you, eventually one day you'll do the same to somebody else, right? And that's a good thing. Just be okay with keep comparing yourself with other artists, because it does keep you in check, but don't let it be something that keeps you or prevents you from drawing. If you can't get over the man, I just should just stop drawing because there's no way. Like I can't. I've been drawing for 10 years and I still look worse than this person. If you get stuck in that, you gotta find a way out as soon as you can. You gotta stop doing that. Maybe start listening to more positivity in your life or something. Just don't compare yourself to the people you look up to all the time, because it's just gonna lead to paralysis. And if that happens, it's a tricky beast. Then it's not fun anymore. Now you're not even having a good time. You're just always looking at so and so's art, and you're like, damn. Because the thing to remember, right? I think a lot of people forget about this is, let's say you like a certain person's art, and they're the reason why you got to drawing. You look at them and you just keep studying their stuff day in, day out. And 10 years later, you look at their stuff and you're like, oh my god, like they're still so much better than I am. You gotta remember, like, they're drawing just as much, if not more, than you, right? So they're gonna get better every time. Like, there's no way you can compete. It's the rare person that actually gets past that, and it gets past the people that they look at and they find motivating or inspirational. So don't worry about that being like the thing that keeps you down. Just keep doing you. Keep doing your thing, and it'll all work out. It worked out for them, right? Work out for you. And or just keep it as the other side too. If you're this kind of person, just rip their photo out, put it on the wall, and just like, I'm gonna beat you one day. I'm gonna beat you. And just use it as like, that's your. It's like a friendly competition with that person. Oh, sorry, you out of here. Ben saying, I know you're going to be wrapping up soon, so I just want to get one more recommendation in. Devilman's Crybaby, or at least Song Buddy Rio, which is... Okay, thank you, dude. I will definitely check those out. Ken has good advice for you, too. Alright, what color eyes are you? You got these. Oh shit, I can't, yeah, let me get out of there. There we go. This looks like a neon yellow. And all these colors too, it's pretty slick. They're all like CMYK ready. So I know if this were ever to get printed, that it'd be fine. It's cool. Yeah, yeah. 432, how you doing, buddy? It's been a while. Film saying output speed is a factor to big companies as well as drawing quality. There was this old saying, you guys correct me if or when I do screw this up, that there's really 3 things that you can have as an artist, but you only need 2 out of the 3 to have a career in art. So one of them is quality, the other one is speed, and the other one is time. So if you've got really good quality artwork and you can deliver it on time or a little earlier, you'll always have work. Air quotes always, because who knows. If you're very quick, oops, sorry. If you're very quick, what were the three? I've already lost track of what the three were. Speed, quality. No, it's I have it wrong. It's speed, quality, and I believe the other one was personality. Like if you're a joy to work with. Basically, if you say yes all the time, and you give very little friction. That's why you see a lot of cats. They turn on everything early or right on time, and they're awesome to work with. But their quality of art isn't exactly awesome. But they're always working. You always see them on titles and stuff. That's why. You only need two. You don't have to be an amazing artist to have an art job or an art career. 100%. Kind of like this yellow though. Makes it feel more like a hero. I'm sticking with it. Screw that other anime you guys are talking about. Adulting sucks. But couple idiots. How's it going? Sorry, I asked to check out my channel. I realized that isn't freaking cool. That I'm freaking sorry. What's that? I'm sorry I asked to check out. I didn't see that. It's all good, man. It's all good. Okay. What else we got here? So we got this. I need to add one other thing. They used to do this thing where it was like with metal. I just got to find the right color. Is it this one? No. Is it that one? I think it's that one. Okay, so we got to find a hue that's a little bit brighter than Let's try this. And then we get, you only do this on like these metal reflection parts. There's like no shadow with these flats. It's just flats. It's very weird. And it's very tricky working with flats where you only have like a certain amount of colors. I think there's, how many we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 16 is what? 32? 6 and 6 is 12. Yeah, you guys let me know. I'm pretty sure it's 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, or 7. So there's like 36, 37. I might have a duplicate color in here. Colors, you can only pick those. Super difficult. I was trying to color rocks the other day, and I just couldn't find a color that I was like, yeah, I guess that's rock. I just had to lighten it up, and it was tough. It's fun. It's challenging trying to figure this stuff out. Pixar said they wouldn't work with a genius that's also a prick. Being a team player is in high regard than talent. Yep, team player on time can communicate. Exactly. Bro, you have the speed, you have the quality, you have the personality. No, I don't. I don't have the speed. I'll tell you right now. The personality, I'll give you that. I'll be an asshole and say, yeah, I'm a nice guy. It's the speed part because I get bored. Because I always get distracted because I can never settle on why I've been doing this stuff. That's what it is. That's 100%. But I appreciate it. Like when I sit down to draw, I'm pretty quick. I'll say that. But it kind of goes back again to like what the hell we've been talking about all day today, which is why are you doing these things, you know? And if you can't figure that out, it makes it really tricky to just stick with something. Because then you're always doubting it and going like, but there's always this and that. All right, what color background? Do we just do like just put like that disgusting red, just like nuke the whole background? Look how retro this looks. Blue will make it. Look at this. You want to get? This might be alright. What is this? A green? Green might be okay. Oh, thank you, sir. Where is it? This one. So that's what I'm talking about with these colors. You get, it's like, that's it. That's all you get to work with. So I'm going to keep that for now. Let's pick this other green. Let's see how this one looks over top. Ooh, gross. What about this one? That is the same one. What about this one? Nasty. I think this is the same as his eyes. Yeah. But if we put it down here, let me just quickly see what we're doing. Alright, well we just need two kinds of color right now. Let's go ahead and just fill this in. And we'll fill this one in. couple. I want you to know I appreciate you taking your time to read my comment. Yeah, hey, no problem, man. Everybody here's, I don't want to say family because that's just weird, but everybody here's friendly. Everybody here's nice people. I didn't read it, but if you're apologizing for telling people to go check your stuff out, obviously, yeah, it's douchey to just pop in and say, hey, check my stuff out. But I do encourage people to share what they're doing with people because it's hard enough trying to get attention on work out there. So if I can help you get a little bit of feedback or something, then awesome. But there's a limit. People know what that limit is, right? Like when you start getting kind of silly out there. I'm not saying that was you, but whatever. Okay. Let's find some color. See, this is I love the restriction of this stuff because I know it's gonna get a little bit better once we do a little bit of magic here and add some texture and all that fun stuff. But part of me is like, yeah, but these greens are shit. Like I would never pick these, you know, like. But so we have this other one. It's called Golden Age Comics. And there's like this far bigger range, and this is the trick. When you're going digital and you got like all these tools, you can just pick whatever you want. So we got yellow, we got all these things. The blue will pop, but it's energy. So maybe a purple would look alright. Let's see what this looks like. It's the worst. Feels kind of villainish though. Oops. Feels kind of spacey a little bit. Pick the color, please. What? Oh, did I delete it? Oops. La la la. What if we go? What is this? So, the thing I'm not digging with this is it just makes him feel more like a villain. I don't want a villain. And then that one, it blocks in his hair. Just pretty. Hey, it's that easy. Oh boy, maybe we're onto something here. Maybe we're just. It's like I wouldn't pick up brown. Brown just does not scream like energy, but that doesn't feel too bad. Maybe it does feel kind of bad. What about like a nice bright. I hear you with the purple and the darker blue. I'm just. It's starting to feel a little bit like space. You know what I'm saying? And I mean that's one of the things I'm trying to get better with and understand why we're using certain things. Like, why would you use the Kirby crackle? What does that give you? It's not just cool to look at, but there's reasons to use things, right? And right now I'm just using it and I'm not understanding it. Or a glow in the dark velvet post. What if this one was like that? What if we want real? How's it looking on your guys' screen? Let me see what you're looking at. There's a lot of mud. Alright, well, we're going to do an audible here. We're going to go to this here. So he's the primary colors, right? Blue, red, and yellow. Are those primary? I think green's I don't know. Horrible actual color science. So if we want, he's hot, right? So we got to have a cool background. But the background isn't cool. That's where we're getting stuck. The background's like this ethereal energy. Alright, let's try some of these richer colors here, these blues. Because blue will pop. I just want it meshing with him. Nah, it looks too cold. Let's go with, what does bright yellow look like? Okay. And, because I like the idea of it being fire. It's alright. Like you said earlier, I think bigger dots and the Kirby crack would be the way to go. Yeah, I'm feeling that too. There's some really, like, I do like this sort of, like, it looks like a blur, but it almost looks like a filter I did in Photoshop. So I'm not, you know, whatever, but the big chunky dots, I think it would look real nice. I think you're right. What about green? Green might be a little pukey green. Baby Scott's yellow. Starting to feel like the Hulk. This is tricky. Well, isn't that visually striking? What if we went that with that one and that? See, now you just feel like a villain. Feel like a bad guy. The purple just... not feeling it. That wasn't too bad. It was... it's a little hard to make out. It's because he's all blue, right? So it's making this... that's just gross. It's way too dark. You like green? This is something I found out working in the games industry. When you ask your team, especially people that... I'm not saying you guys aren't, but the people that aren't artists, even if they are, like, you get everybody's question, and once it starts becoming like a... what color do you guys prefer? Then it just starts becoming preference, and it's not really what's the best part. What about just white? I feel like we need color, right? Like a cream, maybe. Maybe a creme. And a bright yellow. No. Jesus Christ. What about that? What about that? What if we went like that with a little creme? I don't mind this. I know it's pretty boring looking-ish. Because it keeps it fun. Like, it's still light, you know? It's energy. I think we're going with this one. Well, to make him pop, yeah, the black's trapping him in right now. And, I mean, his expression's pretty evil looking. You know, like, if I don't... yeah, see, I don't have... I could go in there and color... like, check this out, right? Like, let's say we went with... I don't know. We'll go with this orange color. And this is the color we started doing all these crackles in. Watch, like immediately it pushes things back and he comes up to the foreground. Right, I'll just do this one side. You see how that? But the effect's gone. It's not cool anymore. I think the yellow from the eyes makes it hard to choose a color from the back. Yeah, you're right on that one. But what is? You know what? I'm thinking of going with this. It's like a. It's not full white. It's like basically a yellow. And then this is like a green. It actually looks like a blue because of the way your eye plays here. But let's try this. I do like having this in here, this little eye effect. I want to see how it looks having it in here. Whoops. Let's close that. And let's get the color flats. And the idea here is to go keep this pretty simple like they used to do back in the day. Big fat brush. I'm not sure how I like this. Again, this is all like test stuff, guys. This is the fun experiment stuff. Can't stick with everything to make it perfect. You gotta be careful here. I don't want him having evil eyes. I mean, his eyes look pretty evil right now, but maybe, you know what, we do this. Let's keep him free of shadow. Actually, you know what? The more I'm looking at this, let's do this. Let's get rid of these creases under his eyes. Oops. We don't need him like a scowled nose. There we go. That's a little better. Actually, if we get rid of this, how's this look? I like having that little effect there, but it makes him evil, you know? What if we just went with that one side? Yeah, that looks better. Sometimes the problem is you get too much lines. He's got too much lines, man. Pull it back. Okay, he looks a little bit more friendly now. And again, I don't want to... keep going back and forth. Sorry, guys. You guys are going to start hearing, hating me say this stuff. But you see we had this. I did have this one in here where it's like the lighting. Normally, like I'm saying, this is simple. We can keep it like this, add like an effect on it. It's going to look like it's old school. But I want to play a little bit more with just this because this is something I enjoy. And it gives it a little bit extra. And it makes it feel a little bit more like me, I guess. So it's not like I'm totally just trying to be a whole different artist here. Let's go normal. Actually, let's put it on multiply. See it? Okay. And I'm going to try to go simple. Let's just pick a side to go with here. We'll say the left side. Let's see how this looks. The idea here is I don't want to spend too much time coloring this with lighting that it should be, in air quotes here, because I want it to be like how they did back in the day, right? Where it's just quick. It's just a quick color pass. I'm not sure if we'll keep it. We'll see. But what it does give us, though, right, is that we get to play a little bit more with pushing things into the distance and stuff. What's this guy's name? Still working on it. Fuck. You know what? Like, watch this. I take that off. I feel like it's just way better without it. Yeah. You know what? Screw it. Let's just keep it. I'm killing time doing this stuff. All right, let's do that. And then we're going to open up Photoshop, and I'll show you what we're going to do in there. Forgot to put a signature. So let's fix that. Tech. Let's pick, I don't know, that color. Where we're going to drop it. Put it over here. Okay, and we'll save it again. What were you saying there? Not sure if you've been reading comics, but if you want to check out a pretty cool simple color palette, yeah, beautiful. Boom Studios book Coda. Okay, I'll definitely check that out, man. Thanks. Let me just put that over here. Coda. I like that name too, Coda. Coda comic. Okay. So here, I'm just going to put this on the screen so you guys can see it. Photoshop takes a little while to load. So this is, let me just close that. We don't need you. This was like the original one we were doing before, right? So I'm going to add some stuff to make it kind of look a little bit a little bit more in vein with this. I think this is a little bit too retro, but you can see, in my opinion anyway, the lighting doesn't, like the shadow, you don't need it. It's just clear. It's fun looking. Right? We always want to have fun. I know when we start adding in all these like extra stuff, it starts getting pretty dramatic. Okay, so the color, let me just merge all these here, layer combine, and then we will kill all of that. What is this? Signature? Yeah. Okay, so let's save this as a Photoshop file. Oh. 4, I guess. Okay. Let's open up Photoshop. Hopefully the computer doesn't die. Three hours, man. We haven't streamed this long since we were doing JESOP King pages, eh? And for those interested, we'll post this online too. I don't think we'll be posting too much more, like full pictures, until I get the short story done. I'm thinking it's probably around 8 pages, something just small. And I'm trying this thing of, you don't post anything until it's done. Because I don't know if you guys have heard of this or not, but if you post stuff, if you share stuff, and it's not done yet, it gives you the same, especially online, it gives your brain the same chemical release of dopamine to make you feel like you already accomplished something finished. And the problem with that, and it kind of mixes in with a lot of people not feeling 100% since cell phones and especially social media have come out, is that we all share things all the time, so you're getting that constant hit of dopamine, and it's easier to just complete an image and post it online instead of like a collection or a finished project. So testing it out, I'm pretty sure it'll work. And the reason why is, right, like, so imagine you're doing 8 pages in my case, right? And after page one's done, normally I would just go, I can't wait to show this online. But it gives you that draw to go, I can't wait to finish this whole thing so I can share it with people too, right? So, would white pupils ruin it? I don't think so. We can try it. Try tossing it in. Not against it. I think I was reading what you guys were saying there about, like, usually in anime with the eyes like that, generally like crazy people. But I think you might be onto something. If you add like white pupils, it might just humanize it a little bit, right? Let's see here. I don't know what kind of brush we got. Let's get this. Oh, what the hell? I hate Photoshop. Like, Photoshop's awesome at work, but on my computer here, like, it runs like a pig. Like, look at that. Like, my pressure sensitivity is all wacky. I gotta get a new computer, man. Alright, let's zoom out. This probably looks fine. Yeah, I don't mind it. It's good. Okay. Alright, let's save this up here because I just did a little adjustment. Alright, so let's do this. This is actually pretty quick here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to duplicate the color layer, just so we always have something to fall back on. So the easy thing I like to do here, actually let me duplicate this so I can see it off screen with better color. We're going to go here. Yeah, guys, totally check it out. I've been in love with figuring out these things that deal with dopamine. Honestly, a lot of it comes from the day job where I work at, where we're doing mobile games, and you're always looking for articles and stuff about people talking about, like, that addictive hit. There's a reason why you check your Facebook all the time. You play a game where that have like loot boxes and stuff, because you might only have 5 minutes to play a game, but if you get in there and you get a shot of dopamine, you're gonna come back again. That's how it goes. Okay, so we got our colors here. So we go to filter and we go to pixelate and we go to color halftone. Now, I've been picking 8, and I'll just hit enter so you guys can see what it looks like, okay? Now, right away, it looks just like how they used to print back in the day, right? So if you zoom in, whoops, wrong one's there. You see how it's looking? It's doing all this kind of thing, and it's like moving. It's CMYK dots basically all over everything, and we're gonna fade it and stuff. But these dots, I wanted to try something here. Let's go undo, please. Okay. And I'm going to try making the dots a little bigger. I just want to see how they look. So pixelate, color halftone. Let's go with like 12. I kind of like that because you can see the dots a little bit better. Okay, and then we go to edit, and this is the one right here, fade, color halftone. So what this is going to do is going to push or pull these dots back. In the video that I watched, I think the guy was around like 25%, so I usually just start with there. So you see how it's still there? It's there, but it's not as like prominent in your face. Let's try 30. Yeah, can't even tell. So let's go 25, hit enter. Yeah, Ben, did you see how I got to here? If you need me to go back, just let me know. I'm also going to try to put in some sort of like wacky text here too in Clip Studio because Photoshop's just dying. I tried this in Clip Studio. I wasn't able to get this effect. Not this easily anyway. Go figure, right? Alright, so now this is where it gets a little interesting. This is one of the sections I'm not totally sure if I'm going to do. In that video, the guy talks about dropping a cream colored layer over it, and then you drop the opacity. And what it does, it gives it like this old look. I'll show you guys that. I think it makes it too old. I do like the screen tone effect. And then once we pull the blacks away, they feel a little bit like they all work. Because right now, with the screen tone the way it is, the black pops in a gross way. I'm not a fan of it. So I'm looking for textures, and then we're going to go to paper. I just been picking this one. All you need to do is search on Google for like high res paper texture, and then you can search for like sizes. You're looking for something that's, you know, a pretty high resolution. Like this one is image size. How big are we talking here? Yeah, it's like 4,500 by 3,000. You know, and you'll see when we put it over top of here of a 300 DPI, it's really not like it's big, but it's not. You know, look at that lag. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right, so it's almost just enough here. So the one thing I'm not liking is like this little smear. It's nice, but not when it's on his face. So let's just quickly use the lasso tool like that. We'll go Shift F5, just so you guys can see it. What we're gonna do is, so when you do Shift F5, it's a fill command, but Photoshop has this cool thing called content aware. Sometimes it works. What it does is it finds the closest. It didn't do anything. It finds the closest pixels and fills them. So it's a quick way to get rid of people from backgrounds and stuff like that. So that not work. Opacity. Oh, let's try 100%. There we go. So you see what that did? It's very hard to see when you zoom in. You might notice like some weird oddities and stuff, but it's just a quick way to remain a texture and stay inside there. You do yours a different way, but it's a bit more manga than it is traditional comic. Okay, so like the black and okay, got it. Is this how you use the texture in JESOP? No, JESOP was a custom texture. It was like noise with a mix of, I forget. It was definitely a texture. There's two layers. I can show them to you guys if you want. But this one has like a different effect. This one actually looks like paper, and then when you add the dots over top, it adds a little bit to it there. That's way too old looking. What if you want the news from the? Yeah, no, you're right. The type of texture you use is super important as well. Okay, so we have that, and I think we go to this. Where it gets a little weird. Is it overlay? Might be overlay. Do you see right away how that makes it feel like it's it's starting to come together? What's screen look like? It's starting to wash stuff out. So if we go to multiply, all right. So multiply right away. You can tell, right? Like to me, it looks real slick. Yeah, man, look at that. But it's old, right? Like this is the 50s or something, right? And it's cool. It's got some stuff to it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go Control U. We're gonna bring the saturation all the way down, so it's black and white, right? We don't want that brown coming through. We just want the texture. So if we bring the lightness up, sometimes you got to go like quite a bit. You can go there, and then we can play with some of the levels and stuff like that. You can see how it's still darkening things down, right? Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go under here first. Let's try we'll go levels, and we're gonna make it, bring it back up so it's still bright. I like colorful stuff. I don't really like drab, dreary kind of stuff. Just playing around with some sliders, nothing crazy. Ben saying also think linear dodge add looks best for textures. Sure, let's try it. Linear dodge add. Okay, that doesn't look very. It's doing like the total opposite on this one. Is it because the level's wrong? Yeah, it's not working on this one. What do we have it on screen? No, it's overlay. Oh, was it multiply? Yeah, it's multiply. Alright, so let's turn this off and just see how close it is to the colors already. Yeah, it's pretty close. It's just adding the textures to it. It's cool. Alright, so now this is where the fun starts. You go to the inks, and all we're going to... that Photoshop sound. So what we're going to do, so you guys can see it, I'm just going to move the lightness up, and it's going to like desaturate the black. You see that? And it just starts to bring it together just so juicy. And let me just zoom in here, because the effect you want, and it's not happening, is I want that texture to be shown through the black as well. Let me see if I put this over top, how that's going to look. No. Let's go down here. So the inks layer, I think we can go to multiply on that. Did that add it? Yeah, kind of added it. What's going on down here? Oh, I have an idea what we'll be able to do for that. Okay, that's no problem. Let's see if we go screen. Overlay. Multiply. Yeah, I think it's multiply. But anyway, you see what's kind of bringing this back? Alright, so I'll just put it back so you guys can... Whoops. There. So that's solid black. And that's pushing the blacks back a bit. Solid black, pushing them back a bit. And you can do all kinds of things if you really want to get in here, right? Like this is a little bit more labor intensive, to be honest with you. If we lock the transparency on this guy, which already is, we go to color, you could get in and like make it kind of like a red. reddish brown or something, and it would really start to like make it feel, you know. But we're gonna go black. We'll just stick with it that way. And I'm gonna do everything else over in Clip Studio. So let's just save this up here. I don't like spending too much time in Photoshop. Prefer to be out of it. I spend all day in this thing at work. So Clip Studio is a treat. Let's go and open that up. Where are you at? There you go. Okay, let's open her up. Hey, thanks, Michael. Glad it's coming together. Okay, is it doing anything? No. What the hell? Oh, cause my bad. All right, let's open it up. Let's try. Let's try it again. All right, and Photoshop files tend to be pigs. I find in Clip Studio. So as soon as it loads, it should look the same. Yep. Okay. So we're gonna go File, Save As, Clip Studio. Yeah. All right. So I was noticing. I don't know if you guys can see it, but some of the black areas. Let me just actually close this up so I can save some RAM. My computer's not completely having a heart attack. Oh yeah, look at that, just saving away. And like I said, I know we're using CMYK colors, but I also like to go in there and punch up the saturation and the color balance a little bit. That's like the modern stuff I like to use there with this kind of look. Okay, so I know I'm all over the place here. Just give me 1 second. Let's close all this crap. Whoops. Get some RAM back. Now that I'm the colors and the all, I can't escape this character. Oh man, maybe one day, or I just have to get rid of the hair, go back to the bald look. Okay, let me just get that off screen. So let me see here. Like what I was seeing in Photoshop, I don't know if you guys see it. Let me see. It's almost like this. Let me do this again. It's yeah. It's like it didn't save that. But there's like some texture work down here that's not there. So what I think we're gonna do is let's click this and see if that gets rid of it. That's so interesting why I wouldn't do that. I'm gonna have to double check some of the things that I've been using the brushes because I don't think it's filling totally right. And I kind of like how it's dark in certain areas. Okay, well, we got this. I'm gonna lower the opacity a little bit on that layer. Like it's cool to have some of that effect in there, but I feel like it's stealing a lot. We turn the Actually, you know what's probably better instead of doing that? Let's put that back up, and we're going to create a layer mask, everybody's favorite. We're just going to kind of mask out some of the texture up here. Just a little too heavy. Maybe just do a little sprinkle around everywhere, a little sprink, you know? Not everything's got to be insane. Just little kisses everywhere. Alright. Alright, so we got this. Now we get to the fun stuff here, because it's pretty much done besides some sort of text that we'll put together here. So let's go filter, nope, layer, new correction layer, my favorite color balance. And I usually always start with shadow. I go into the blues a bit, a little bit of the cyan, and the highlights. I go into the yellow. Sometimes a little bit of the red. It can get a little peachy. I don't like that. So I'm just gonna turn that on and off so you guys see the difference. It's a subtle difference, but I think it's a big difference. And what I'm noticing is when I have that on, here's the knee. This is the easiest way to look at it. When I turn it off, you can see more of that texture coming through the knee. I don't think that's a good thing. I want that texture back. What if we turn the levels off? I like it on. You know what? Let's just keep it. Let me just see something here. Let's try that hard mix. Ooh. Yeah, you can't really tell. Screen. Okay. Lower the opacity. Do you see what's happening here? Why is that? It's interesting. I think it's because of the color, the way that you see. This is the gaps I'm talking about. I think it has something to do with one of the things I was doing. Anyway, okay, I'm not going to keep bugging you guys here. So there's this. That's pretty much it. We could save it up. It'd be pretty much, I'd call this done. Just got to put some text on there to make it feel real. Like there's some magic going on in this. I'd say it's... how would we rate this? I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. I feel like in a comic panel, this would look pretty cool. The Kirby dots, they're too small, as we talked about. And the color, I'm not... this is just something I got to get better at. And I'm going to have to do some actual study, like look at old art, which I'm riffing off of, and try to understand the color choices that they're using. And I mean, I am locking myself into certain color palettes, but, that's not horrible. Check this out. You guys might dig this, and then I'll leave you alone. And then I'll leave you alone. Layer. We're going to merge all the layers, right? So we can flatten it. So we're going to copy. We're going to undo all of that. And we're going to paste it on top, and then we're going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur. I don't know, somewhere around here. How does that look? This computer just chugs. Yeah, that'll be good. And then you go screen, and it's like pure energy. Look at that. That's what, or add glow, or overlay. Like, look at that. That looks, look how punchy that looks. I actually don't mind that, to be honest with you guys. That's like super saturated though. Like I feel like this look right here would be really good for, like art that you might have on a website or something like that. But it just seems so pushed. Maybe if we bring it down a little bit. It just gets vibrant in certain areas, like right here in his arm. Do you see where it's ramping that up? Or it just looks flat? Yeah, no problem, brother. Thanks for popping in. I always enjoy talking to you, Michael. I hope you're well as well, man. How's your, before you go real quick, how's the back and stuff? You doing all right? How's the health? Okay, I'm going to just type something super campy over on the side here. Let's see what we got here. I'll bring it over so you guys can see it. Okay. So here, this is you can get a Chrome attachment. It's called Grammarly. This is the free one. Still always consider buying the full one. The idea is you can type stuff in here and it'll fix your grammar. So if you do comics or any kind of writing and you don't have the finances, which most people don't, to afford an editor, this is it's better than a spell check, that's for sure. Sorry, Mike was saying the back is good, all scarred up, but hey, that's yeah. Good for you, dude. Yeah, I'm glad you're doing better. Okay, I won't take too much of your time, but thanks, Michael, for popping in. Appreciate it. Love you, buddy, and I'm glad you're on. You're feeling better, man. Okay, so if you don't have an editor, this is just a fun little way of putting stuff in. It'll fix things a little bit better than spell check would. So, guys coming at us, what would he say? Something. Maybe we can just get like, what would be some fun story here? There's no way you're leaving. Yeah, what the hell? There's no way here. No, here we go. There's no way I'm letting you go now. I'm just getting fired up. Alright, so let it run its thing. See what we got. Okay, so this is obviously an error. What do we got here? It's clicky. Inline corrections, however, using what? Yes. There's no way I'm letting you go now. I like these lines that they would do in the old comics too. They'll go like, it's like like a beat. you know, like a space that you're actually reading. Okay, there's no way I'm letting you go now. Just getting fired up. We'll have to put some of those and make them bold. Okay, so we're gonna go copy, and let me just put that off screen. Where's my mouse? And we will make a text layer. I hope you decide to keep some of that retro Miami stuff in the new direction. Might be cool with the celestial thing. Sorry, what do you mean? Like that stuff we were doing last time, like the big guy with the mullet and all that stuff? That guy? Okay, the text is pretty small. Let's make it a little bigger. Oh yeah, no, that stuff, yeah, you're right, man. That stuff is sick. Oh, my computer's lagging pretty hard with this. Okay. Because I can't see what the hell I'm looking at. Okay, there's no way, letting you know. Alright. So let's go bold. Bold. Cool. Alright, so let's put a little spatch balloon around there. And we're going to call this done. We're noodling too much, I can tell. Okay, so let's click our balloon. I don't like making the perfect circle ones. I like just having a little bit of life to them. It's kind of odd when, you know, I'm working with a pre-made font. It just sort of starts to feel... we can adjust it. You see, now we're starting to feel like a comic book. An old school comic book. When you get some text. I don't want to lose this right here. I think we had it up here before, didn't we? Yeah, I don't mind having it up there like that. Because I like these big thick lines we were throwing in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're just going to adjust this a little bit. Normally I don't really do this. Just let it fly as it is, but there's a lot of empty space around here. Let's adjust it a little bit. Yeah, so as we come to the tail end here, guys, thank you so much for popping in. I really appreciate it. It's good to see some familiar faces in there. We had some really awesome talks, too. If you're coming in a little bit late, if you feel like it, you know, you don't have to, but definitely check out the... check out the recorded version. There's a lot of really cool stuff we're getting into about freelance and being scared, and you know, some lovely people in the chat that are part of that are able to help out and give their perspective on it. Really good stuff. Width of tail. I'd like a little bigger one here, please, if you don't mind. Jesus, not that big. I don't like going this far down, but ugh. Maybe we can get a nice curve in here. Like, oh my god. So I've never really used the curve tool on this. It just is so weird. You see how that's not like smooth? It's doing like this weird pivot thing. Alright, well I don't want to spend too much time here. Let's just... 50 is not enough here. That's good enough. Yeah, no. So Dennis is saying something, and I agree. I've read a lot of the lettering tips and stuff like that. I'm not a pro letterer at all. Never claimed to be. Yeah, he says, and then I've read it too, where it's like wherever the speech balloon is, always point at their mouth because that's where the sound is coming from. When you start thinking about text and sound and audio and comics, putting it where it's coming from is super important. I don't think enough people think of that. What he's saying too, and I've heard, is it's like halfway between the mouth and the balloon, right? I agree with that as well. However, and this is just for me, I read a lot of manga, and in manga they don't obey that rule. They treat it a little different. They use like almost little stubby tails generally, and I like the way that looks. So long as it's not confusing. If it's confusing, then I either move the balloon in. Hopefully, this doesn't feel like it's out of place, but anyway, I do appreciate that. Yeah, I love the lettering in Clip Studio too. I can't stand the Photoshop lettering myself, especially with the balloon. I know about paths and stuff like that, but the ease of it in Clip Studio, of just being able to manipulate it. I've heard, I've never messed around with it though. Illustrator, is that it? Adobe Illustrator? That's like, I think what you're supposed to use, or what most people use or something. But yeah, no problem, guys. Okay, thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate it. It's great to talk to you guys again and see you guys. I'll be posting this the picture online so you guys can see it soon. And until next time, you guys, we can finally get back to saying it the right way, right? Keep reading comics, keep making comics, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye bye.